Did you suffer property damage during Hurricane Harvey only to have your insurance claim denied?
This is Eric Dick. I think it's important that you know your rights. Hurricane Harvey may have been the most costly storm in history, and if your insurance company did you wrong because they didn't pay for your claim, well, you have the right to hire an attorney and sue them. You have the right to call me for a free consultation at 833-3HARVEY, 833-3HARVEY. Don't let your insurance company take advantage of you. Know your rights. Call me today, 833-3HARVEY.
Feeding Rocks. It should not be a crime to feed the homeless. Feeding Rocks. A good Samaritan shouldn't be punished for acts of kindness. Feeding Rocks. Because it's more of a crime to turn your back on a starving person. Feeding Rocks. You shouldn't go to jail for sharing food. Feeding Rocks. You can't in good conscience let a hungry person starve. Feeding Rocks. Help us legalize charity. Go online and sign the petition. www.feeding.rocks. Feeding Rocks. Good.
So I watched the clock on that.
Good. I think most of this stuff's going. So I missed a little bit more, but hey everybody. You guys got any comments? Just mention on Facebook. About to go on air.
So we'll go live on 106. At 106, 6 after the hour, they'll play the intro.
Cool. 6 after the hour. Okay, cool. Hey, Victor. It's my boy, Victor.
Facebook.
Here we go.
Everybody up? Everybody running? See, that's good.
I still gotta do the.
Of course, there's the delay that I used.
Yeah, everybody loves it. Okay.
I see it live on this computer.
All sorts of. It's going all sorts of ways. I'm about to get the Instagram going. Okay. Let's see. Oh, I never can remember. Instagram always gets me confused.
Oh, of course. It's always right in front of my face. Right where it's supposed to be. Of course.
What are you looking for, the headphones?
Not a mouse.
The mouse
is right there. If there'd been a snake and bit it. It would. It was a mouse.
What if that?
Snake would have protected me. That's right.
Okay. Over there. All right. We're live on Instagram. Well, actually, it's becoming live on Instagram, Twitter, Periscope, Twitch, Facebook.
Twitch, that's the one, man.
Twitch.
I've never heard of that. That's Michelle Malkin's thing. She's the one who started that. Oh, okay. So that's how she got famous, was from that.
You stream, I stream, we all stream.
Ice cream.
I don't know. Okay. Oh, let's see what everyone's saying. No. That one's still checking the connection. Oh, good. I'm live. Live on Instagram. All sorts of live.
My other one's fine. The one I use just for. Yeah. This live stream brought to you by Topo Chico.
That's right, Topo Chico. I don't know.
That's what I do. I post for my youngest son's soccer game. The last time he played, he was drinking Gatorade. So this shot brought to you by Gatorade. And then this morning he was eating a donut after this. So this one's brought to you by Shipley. So whatever.
Shipley's got some good donuts.
So that's the thing. After a nice long soccer game, that's what you need is to sugar up on a big box of donuts.
Sugary Reese.
Oh, man.
So you got us on Instagram, right?
I'm gramming it. Got the gram kicking. Oh, so touchy Sylvia.
Dude, another Grabby Garcia. That's becoming everybody Garcia politicals. That's their name, man.
I'm just, I got a rash. I got a rash.
Dude, have you read that? Have you read the?
I read that. It was like 3-page affidavit or whatever it was.
Yeah.
But the first page was bad enough. And it's just on and on and on.
That's not good. Hey guys, y'all there? All right, just making sure if y'all haven't tuned in yet, 9:50 a.m. KPRC, or find us on the iHeartMedia radio station online on your app. Or you just tune in on Facebook and ask us questions. If you want to call in, the number 713-212-5950. Myself, Eric Dick,
What's up?
and Ray J. Black Jr. So it's going to be a fun day. Lots to talk about.
Juicy topics.
Juicy topics. As always, if you haven't get your nutrition in for the day, make sure you check out Bragg's organic apple cider vinegar drink. Apple cider vinegar and the honey. This one's I'll tell you, I tried this other one called Vitec earlier this week. It was okay, but this one, I'll tell you, man, it's good stuff. Get your daily dose of apple cider vinegar, especially if you're on the keto. Really accelerate your program.
They sponsoring the show?
But they help them, man. That stuff's good.
They need to be sponsoring the show.
But if you like the non-apple cider vinegar, then Topo Chico.
There you go.
Natural mineral water, straight from the lands of the South. But I'll tell you this, and as always, regular drink water does the trick too. But just got done with softball practice. I'm a little hot, so we got to nourish the body. So
I'll try the vinegar stuff.
it's rough. You take the vinegar just by itself, man.
I tried to mix it with stuff.
It's never a good acquired taste.
It came through. It doesn't matter what it is. You mix it, you taste that first.
I actually like the vinegar. I actually like it. Like, take a
Just
shot.
by itself,
That's yummy. Take a
See,
shot.
this
That's
one right
good.
here, they have, like, Bragg's has a couple different flavors. This one oh, I got the wrong one. Guys, I apologize. I didn't mean to get the one with honey. I can't even drink this one. Oh, it's the one with cinnamon I meant to get. But this one's good, don't get me wrong, but just the sugar content is something I can't have. And I was such a rush to grab it.
That's like my relatives who I remember could drink buttermilk straight. That's kind of the same way. It's just
Buttermilk.
Oh, just
If you ever need buttermilk for a recipe, but you don't have any buttermilk, just take some regular milk and take some lemon juice,
stir it in it.
and that's the same as buttermilk.
Oh yeah.
See? The more you know.
Oh, she's gonna start. Okay, she's gonna start bossing me. Oh. Oh, jeez, Why am I logged in as KPRC? But okay, fair enough.
I don't know if I have Instagram on this other phone. Rather than that. Hello. All right, let's see. All right, get ready. Here we go.
Oh no. Oh no.
I find a way to turn the monitor in here sometimes because,
Huh. Y'all heard that? You hear that?
Yeah, y'all heard that? Y'all need to contact your lawyer before you're listening to this show. It's so spicy. We got so much juice going on today. You better just pull over, call your lawyer right now, and ask him.
There's a lot of people that probably should have called the lawyer before having any other discussions with other people. But, man, welcome to the Eric Dick Show. Man, good to be back on a Saturday afternoon, 1 o'clock. It's Eric B. Dick, the homeowner's insurance lawyer, joined today along with myself, Chris Carmona, and our special guest, Ray J. Black Jr.
Oh, boy. And we just got a great, juicy show. Let's just go right at it. What is it? Hurricane Michael hit, and oh, boy, did it just wipe out Florida. Florida's gone.
Man, that is one of the worst hurricanes we've seen here in Florida in a while. But, you know, Houston, we kind of have that, well, what about us type of feeling. And as bad as it was for Florida, we always remind ourselves about Harvey last year. But that's a good reminder that, you know, so many other states and people from around the country, they came through. They picked up the slack and helped where Houstonians needed it, where Texans needed it. So if you have the ability, you know, we got to make sure we pull together and help out Floridians as well.
You're right, man. The worst thing that could happen, you spend a few $1 million on a house, and those houses down Pensacola, they're just beautiful. And, you know, it just gets wiped out. I hope their insurance companies treat them right, which they probably aren't. But I hope. I'm going to be optimistic for a moment. I'm hoping they're going to do the right thing.
Eric, do you think they're actually going to do the right thing?
No.
How long have you been practicing insurance law?
10 years.
And you've been fighting for the homeowners for over 10 years, right?
I have. Yes,
and out of that 10 years, how many times have the insurance company
A local pastor is fed up, and he's challenging the Houston homeless feeding ordinance.
And the city requires you to get a permit if you are going to share food. He can't get a permit because he doesn't know where he's going to share food.
Philip Paul Bryan regularly keeps cans of tuna and water bottles in his car to hand out to homeless people. But under the current city ordinance, he's breaking the law. His attorney says Bryan does this because his faith teaches him to help the less fortunate.
This law that's in place, it's a mean-spirited law. It's against, charity. It's against kindness. It's against doing the right thing.
Eric Dick says they plan to fight this till the mayor and city officials overturn what some believe is a misguided ordinance.
He's done the right thing when it comes to covering these types of losses?
Maybe 2.
2 times. Better call Dick.
Okay. So we know Hurricane Michael hit, but we got a lot of other hurricanes brewing in local politics.
Man, which one do you want to start with? The firefighters versus the mayor?
I think we need to talk about the firefighters versus the mayor. We got to bring our probate judge in on this to get his opinion.
Yeah, because you know what? That is an important thing. Our special guest today is attorney Ray J. Black Jr. He's also running for probate judge in court number 2, I believe.
That's correct.
In Harris County. Now, how important is the probate court system in Harris County?
Well, the probate courts, technically a court of last resort, if you will. I mean, that's the last place everybody goes, right? and when people do pass away and they have some types of defined benefit plan, such as a pension, we see with the firefighters,
yeah,
that can sometimes be litigated in the probate courts, correct?
Absolutely. Anything that's related to an estate of a firefighter passed away, that's something that absolutely would be litigated potentially in probate court.
You're right.
I mean, so with this, the importance of the probate courts, the importance of firefighters, Eric, give us a rundown, man. What's going on with the fight between the mayor and the firefighters?
Oh, Sly Turner?
Sly. He's a sly man, isn't he?
Well, he wants to have his cake and eat it too. I mean, he's what the firefighters, what my people say, they call him Turncoat Turner. he begged them, oh, please, guys, you guys need to support me because that old bad Bill King, he's going to take it all from you. he's gonna really throw you right under the bus. And lo and behold, the first chance old Sly got, he just threw those poor firefighters under the bus. He thinks that making $27,000 is just fine.
Now, from what we know, is Houston is not on par with the rest of the major metropolitan cities across the country in terms of firefighter pay, are they?
Not even close. Just starting off, you make $27,000 being a firefighter, and I mentioned that because if I ever stroke out, right, which I'm hoping I don't stroke out, don't want to stroke out, hoping I don't stroke out.
Praise for Eric.
But if I do, I hope the firefighters, they aren't too busy working their spare jobs, falling asleep for working their spare jobs, so they can actually, I want them to be able to be, make an honest living and be able to take care of people. So whenever they're stroking out, they can actually go help them. Isn't that a novel idea?
It is. I mean, I think all of Houston heroes should be adequately compensated. Mr. Black, what do you think?
Well, unfortunately, what I've seen and just going out and about campaigning is this issue has pitted the police officers against the firefighters, which is unfortunate because they both serve our public at large, and we need both adequately equipped and adequately compensated. And so it's unfortunate that you've got this issue, and I've seen statistics like you've mentioned, Chris, where our firefighters don't compare well with other metropolitan areas, and I don't know what the answer is, but it's unfortunate that it's turned out the way it is, where the two groups are at each other, and on an issue that you would think would be something everybody could come together on.
They should. Whenever I ran for mayor, and I took the playbook from Rob Mosbacher. Public safety, your infrastructure, your basic city services,
your necessities.
You pick a few things, do a good job at it. But I don't see how we're doing a good job with public safety whenever our poor firefighters, they're making $27,000 a year.
And we can all agree in this room, I think, that there's plenty of money in the budget being wasted in other areas of city government that aren't really necessary services that could be used for the firefighters' pay.
What are you talking about? All that great art and the bike trails. So I think I love the bike trails.
We have to have a green city, Eric. You have to have a green city.
Well, I know, but it might be on fire, but it'll be a green city.
Yeah, that's a good point. I mean, I'm interested to see how this unfolds at the ballot box in November, but something tells me that this fight won't be over in November. That's going to be something that's going to be thrown to the courts, kind of like it has before. So
don't tell them what's going to happen. But what I am happy about is that the firefighters are pushing for what they believe is right, and I just don't think they've gotten a fair rub in this. Kind of some background on this, like how with the firefighters they had a kind of a better pension, and in return they were paid less. What Sly did is he went to the legislature, cut their pension. So now they're paid less and have kind of a lousy pension. The police, on the other hand, they were paid in advance. They have like a so-so pension. So, really what's happening is the city's, it's overspending and it's trying to basically steal firefighters' money out of it. And they're kind of trying to have their cake and eat it too. And it's morally wrong. I don't see where it's not right. So.
And so if we have any firefighters out there, anybody who supports this or is against this Prop B initiative, give us a call. Let us hear what you think, 713-212-5950. But that's not the only thing that's hot going on in the city of Houston right now. The bombshell just released. The Me Too movement is back, and apparently Sylvia Garcia may be involved with that one. We'll talk about that more.
Oh, boy.
Man.
It is juicy. Don't go anywhere. You're going to hear about Touchy Sylvia soon.
We'll be right back on the Eric Dick Show.
You like that, Touchy Sylvia?
Lord have mercy.
I don't know.
I like it. We'll go with it.
Don't be rash when you do
Don't be rash. Oh.
I'll try not to be rash.
I want to know where it was going before the clerk or the other lady interrupted and unlocked the door.
Just the visual that I got. That just was not pleasant.
It's not.
I mean, I got two girls, and I'm sitting there going, "Dang, come!" I hear this. They're getting touched here by men, getting touched by women. What the heck?
Yeah.
I mean, your girls are older than mine, Chris.
And now I got something to watch out for both.
Watch out.
Man, I've been overprotective on these side.
I didn't think that would happen. I didn't think if you run around, oh, you want to see my rash? Well, I'm not a doctor. Well, you want to be my doctor today?
Oh man, that's crazy, man.
Oh, how about the stuff with Jolanda, like HISD?
Yeah, hey, I got that. We'll finish the Garcia stuff, then move on to the HISD stuff.
We gotta get both Garcias.
So
I don't think a lot of stuff.
so HISD removed the interim superintendent
Okay, yeah,
this
I've
past
heard
week,
that.
and they said it was all just right down race lines. Blacks on one side, Hispanics on the other side, and they put back in Abe Savada, and I guess he was removed a long time ago. He's a former superintendent, and Yolanda's like, it's all about race.
I'm shocked because it's all a bunch of Democrats.
Yeah.
So are they saying the Democrats are racist?
Yeah, so that's how we got to talk about it.
That does seem very
Dude,
odd.
I think it's this Democrat momentum, our alleged momentum, it's just crumbling, man. I think the Republicans may sweep now. I was a
I
little.
hope you're right.
I think it was a little iffy before.
I was getting pulled under this morning that they're still sketchy.
It's not in the
We
clear.
gotta talk about Emmett too. Emmett's
Yeah.
move, which is
Emmett's with
interesting.
what time they doing with the HIC about the Denver Cubs and then
Going to Emmett.
they go with Emmett.
I see Emmett's play. Actually, I don't think it's a bad play. He's trying to break the street party vote.
Dude, the Dems are crumbling, man. They are literally crumbling. I mean, how can you? It's all self-induced. It's all self-induced.
Well, to be fair, the Beto is pretty much self-induced from Ted, kind of not being sensitive enough.
Whoever has these signs out there that says "Better stop texting me," I think it was Pyropack people, great, good guys, man. But that was just not a good idea because all it does is give Beto some more name recognition. You're driving by, you don't know what says "Better." It says "Better." So it's
I know.
I
told him that too.
Yeah.
That better pirate pack.
Yeah, that's what they're doing. All right, they'll come back in about 25 seconds. Yes, Roseanne, you know what I'm talking about. Hey, but they were trying. All right.
Did you pull over? Did you talk to your lawyer? Can you tune in now? Is it okay? You guys clear it? Because I'm telling you, it's about to get really, really juicy.
If you haven't got legal counsel before, now's the time. And man, all right, so before we left off, man, this Sylvia Garcia thing, it's fire. So apparently, everybody was up in arms about these allegations from years ago with the Supreme Court nomination process. Well, now Sylvia Garcia has these same allegations from 20 years ago with a female staffer of hers.
Don't be rash, Chris. Don't be rash. What are you talking about? I have no idea what you're talking about touchy Sylvia.
I mean, there's always been some allegations about, the other Garcia running in precinct 2, calling him Grabby Garcia, but now it's like everybody's last name Garcia running for office seems to have this problem, our alleged problem. I mean, what's going on over there? What's going on with the Democrats on the east end of Harris County?
So what happened there? Wasn't it just some female staffer and what Sylvia's like, well, I got a rash. You want to see this rash?
Yeah,
pulls off her pants, runs around with her panties, rubbing it on her.
Yeah, from what I read in this affidavit or the portion I got, I mean, it's pretty gruesome or pretty detailed in terms of Sylvia wanted her lead clerk to examine her as if she was a doctor and made her feel very uncomfortable. Mr. Black, in this age of Me Too, does that bode well for voter confidence in the Senate District 29 going forward in November? Congressional District 29, sorry.
I would think not. I mean, with this Kavanaugh stuff in such recent times, and the new standard that's apparently out there with how we deal with accusations, I can't imagine this being a good thing for Sylvia Garcia or anybody else that's facing such interesting allegations.
So does she need Eric? Does she need to step down or resign, because that was the Democrats' main thing against Brett Kavanaugh? He can't be a public official. He can't be anything on the Supreme Court because he has these allegations. So do we now hold that standard for Sylvia Garcia?
I wish, but it's probably just like with Sheila Jackson Lee. Her constituents just don't care. If she wants to go around touching some girls, well, that's just touchy Sylvia. That's what she does. And that's, unfortunately, you have another person, you have Congresswomen, Sheila Jackson Lee. She does all sorts of crazy stuff, and she gets voted in every time. Yeah. So you're also going to have her counterpart, touchy Sylvia Garcia, run around chasing women.
Well, Philip Aronoff, who's running against her in this November, he's going to have an uphill battle on this, but at least that's something he may want to use as an arsenal when he's talking to voters today. I don't have any allegations of people, touching people inappropriately, and so if that's something that really moves the Democrats, maybe that's something he needs to focus on.
What Philip should at least say is, whenever you are going around her, just don't take your girls, don't take your kids.
and that's a valid concern. I mean, I know we talk about it loosely, but I mean that's a valid concern, because these allegations, in the affidavit says it wasn't the first time, and there were multiple other occurrences and instances. So the Dems are going to have a problem with that going forward.
What else is interesting about Sylvia Garcia's race is that it's set up where a potential Republican could take that spot next year and during the special election. So Sylvia Garcia is just she's ran for office so many times it makes everyone in this room just look bad. And because we have not been nearly as active in running and losing elected offices as Sylvia Garcia has. Yeah. County commissioner, with state
City
Senate,
Council for a while.
City Council, and now U.S. Senate. No, not U.S. Senate, U.S. House. Thank the Lord she's not running for U.S. Senate.
Not yet.
Give her a minute.
I mean, that's just one, internal debate, internal conflict they're going to have. The Dems are going to have this November. Another one that's unfolding in front of our eyes we've seen this week is HISD, Houston Independent School District. Eric, what's going on over there?
What I always find amazing is the level of just problems with HISD. When I say problems, you've got the former president who got convicted of, criminal acts, stealing money, embezzling money. You've got them basically losing $20 million. I don't know how you lose $20 million. I don't know how you lose $1 million.
I'm trying to find a way to find $20 million.
But for some reason, they're really good at losing money. But now, apparently, this is the most Democrat HISD we've ever had. Every single person there is a Democrat. I don't even know if there's a man there. I think it's all female Democrats.
Well, Sergio Lira just got elected to replace Manny Rodriguez in that special election last year. So you do have him on there.
So you have one man.
I think that
everyone else is a woman. And you have what you have going
Lunsford on there, right?
No, Lunsford is not on there. Lunsford was there.
Okay, that's right. Lunsford's out.
It's all Democrat women, save and except that one guy.
That's true.
And you have basically allegations and a movement that there's a lot of racism happening from the trustees. So my question is, because, Republicans always get bummed with, you're racist this, you're racist that. Well, hot dog, they're actually literally saying racism, and it's going on in HISD. It's all Democrats.
Yeah, we just got confirmation. There's only one man on the HISD board at this time. And you bring up a good point, though. So from what I understand, the argument was this week is HISD is 70% Hispanic in terms of student population. And apparently there was conflict in terms of the allegations at least from Jolanda Jones, was that the non-black board members said they wanted better representation from the superintendent that reflected the body of the students. And so there was a vote to remove the interim superintendent. Wasn't a permanent, but an interim superintendent, because we're still trying to find a replacement from Carranza when he left up to New York. And so Grenita Lathan was a black female, and they removed her as the interim and put her back into a regular position. And they're saying that the vote was straight down. The black board members on one side,
Hi, this is Eric Dick, and I think it's important that you know your rights. If your homeowner's insurance company has denied or underpaid your claim, you have the right to hire an attorney. You have the right to call me for free consultation at 833-7-RIGHTS. That's 833-7-RIGHTS. Don't let your homeowner's insurance company take advantage of you. Call me today at 833-7-RIGHTS.
Has your homeowner's insurance claim been denied or underpaid? Call Dick Law Firm at 833-7-RIGHTS.
Feeding rocks. It should not be a crime to feed the homeless. Feeding rocks. A good Samaritan shouldn't be punished for acts of kindness. Feeding rocks. Because it's more of a crime to turn your back on a starving person. Feeding rocks. You shouldn't go to jail for sharing food. Feeding rocks. You can't in good conscience let a hungry person starve. Feeding rocks. Help us legalize charity. Go online and sign the petition. www.feeding.rocks. Feeding rocks.
Black board members on the other side. Is there race division going on at HISD? And with the Democrat HISD board, does that help or hurt Republicans or Democrats in this November election?
I think it just hurts. It hurts the students. Those are the people that have been completely taken advantage of the whole way through. What do you think, Ray?
Well, the issues clearly impede what the board is there to do, which is govern for the sake of the students. And this HISD has had a history of poor governance because of issues like this that take apparently precedence over what they're elected to do. And you know, I think it sounds like, regardless of the makeup of the board politically, it sounds like if you view every problem as a nail, every solution is the hammer, and that's what they do, regardless of who's there. And the students, as Eric said, are the ones that lose out.
Yeah, and that brings me to a point, because there's always been some underlings and some undertones of, we need to get rid of the Harris County Department of Education because it serves no purpose. Doesn't? But when you see HISD in such disarray, couldn't you make the argument that the Harris County Department of Education can actually be the hero in these types of incidents? And they can. Is there a role? Eric, you're a trustee on the board. Is there a role that the Department of Ed could be playing in this scenario?
I'm actually the vice president there too, and you know, before I understood what the Department of Education was, I jumped up and down and said we should get rid of it because I thought it was just a wasteful government entity. I thought it was redundant to HISD, and as I've looked at it, and I've looked more in detail on it, anything that kind of takes away from HISD is a good thing. Because there's no saving HISD. I have actually changed my opinion that we need to abolish HISD and break it up. It is just so insane. The shenanigans never end. For the last 6 years I've been paying attention to HISD. It's just problem after problem after problem. So I think the best role like a Department of Education could have is, go back to its original purpose. If there's problem with the, local school ISDs, break them up, separate them out. That's what I think would be the best role for, the Department of Education. Absent that, trying to, do what it can to, not be exceptionally wasteful, which is easy. Yeah. All the department has to not do is take a bunch of money and get some gas and just set it on fire. As long as they don't do that, we're good. Because
the Department of Education actually runs at a surplus. They're never over budget. They actually are probably the most efficient countywide government organization. Is that correct to say?
That actually it's true. We are $30 million in the black. Usually these government agencies involving education are in the red, but we're $30 million in the black, $100 million budget a year. We do decent job. I'm not going to give it an A. I'd give it like a B minus, C plus. It has room for improvement. But what it's not doing is taking money and just throwing it away like HISD.
Yeah, and that's the problem with HISD, man. Is just watching that this week and seeing how, again, that racial divide, how these students are going to be the ones affected. They're going to start having that tension. I don't want to see a black versus Hispanic rivalry start in the city of Houston. I don't want that going, started in HISD, in the schools or on the board. But I'm sure it's going to, we say political affiliation doesn't matter, but they're all Democrats and they're going to start turning on each other. There's going to be a lot of people who start saying, don't vote for Democrats, don't vote here, don't vote there. And so there's going to be a lot of party switching or party lines being drawn. And we'll talk about some other star-studded county officials who are also going to say jump over party lines when we come back.
Don't go anywhere. Eric Dick Show. We're just warming up, folks. You better talk with your lawyer.
Don't be wrong.
I had to.
That's great.
I had to.
Hey, we're pretty creative to be able to weave all this in and out and make it all relevant.
I actually, I thought, listening to it, it's listenable. It's not I'm glad that we're more positive, or at least humorful. Than,
Yeah, we're not bashing, bash like some people are always are.
It's exhaustive.
All right, so we'll come back on around 33.
Yeah.
Am I doing okay?
Oh, you're doing great.
You're good.
You're doing great.
Your time to shine after Emmett.
I have no idea.
We just go over the basics about what's a good judge, what's a bad judge.
Yeah,
Ex-party communication, bad.
Yeah. We've had some of that happen recently over in Brazoria County.
There's certain let's just go to the basic things you're supposed to do as being a judge. You're just supposed to be fair, listen to everybody. And this is one of the most sensitive times of their life. Well, actually, not in their life, but in the beneficiaries' lives. And it's a stressful time. It actually can be nastier than family law because people get weird around money. There's a whole lot.
Yeah, the problem. That's
like law. You're fighting with your mind, but you're fighting with somebody else's mind.
Yeah, and
it's
probate's the dirtiest of all of them. They really are.
It is the dirtiest of all. If I wasn't doing insurance law, probate law is pretty dang entertaining. Yeah. It's pretty you see some stuff there.
Well, you got the one with the Anna Nicole Smith one was the classic one. That was in the court I'm running.
And then he hopped on that somehow with the family was the grandmother, right? Anna Nicole's grandmother, or who was it?
Oh no, who was it? Give me a second.
You somehow got involved in that.
I did get involved in that. It was a defamation suit against.
Roseanne, to answer your question, it was allegations. So the allegations are out there. I don't know
a defamation suit.
whether or not it happened or not, but it's allegations.
They were suing my gal. So I don't. You know what? I don't. This was 10 years ago.
Yeah.
It's amazing it's been that long.
713-212-5950.
Juicy stuff.
Somebody wants to call in. So.
It is.
It does. The time flies. Anybody on the phone lines? Nobody?
No.
What's wrong with that?
It's football season.
It is football season. Hey, Irma.
Got a lot of people watching though.
Nah, I think Carmona is done. Now he's just there for entertainment purposes. But again, if y'all want to call in, just to talk about a lot of things going on. 713-212-5950. Hey, Berg. Berg, are you going to call in? You should call in and say you have some questions for us.
Just make up something, right?
And also, since we're always looking for more people to add on to the allegation story, if you've been affected by the state senator in District 6, Silvio Garcia, please let us know. We'd love to have the exclusive on this going forward.
Yeah, Touchy Garcia.
Because if Touchy Garcia's touched one, there may be more out there. And
probably did touch more. She tried to show you her rash. Took off her pants.
About it.
Don't be.
But yeah, so if anybody else knows anything, let us know. Give us the exclusive. Let us break the news.
Man, Chris, I got this really bad rash on my leg, and I don't know. You want to see it?
No, you know who doesn't need to see it though is your lead clerk if you had one.
Okay, guys, we're back.
All right.
Oh boy. So what happened this week was just giant with Ed Emmett. Old hunker down. He said that. Well, one, he got the Chronicles endorsement.
He got the Chronicles endorsement.
I was shocked.
And he was excited.
Oh, I was shocked. Who would have thought that the Chronicle would endorse old hunker down? And doesn't he live over at the Astrodome? Isn't that where he lives now?
I think he has a personal suite being built underneath. So when we have the next hurricane, he can hunker down in his personal private villa.
I mean, he loves that Astrodome. So anyway,
who doesn't he love?
Oh, he doesn't love Lieutenant Dan. He doesn't love Dan Patrick, apparently.
Man, in a bombshell announcement this week, Ed Emmett, the Harris County judge, has publicly stated he didn't just say he was not going to vote for the Republican nominee for lieutenant governor. He went out and made sure he stated, I am going to vote for the Democrat, Mike Collier. That's huge. How does that affect Republicans down ballot? As someone who's on the ballot in November, Ray J. Black Jr., how does that affect you and the rest of your brethren running for judge this November that the county judge has come out and said, break up the ticket and cross party lines?
Well, since this is the last year we're going to have straight party voting here in Harris County, it's important, I think, at least for Republican judges, that we get as many straight party voters as we can. I know that Judge Emmett does great work for the county, always has, and is very popular. But he's also not one to shy away from supporting Democrats and Republicans both. So I guess it remains to be seen whether those comments and the Chronicles endorsement are going to have any adverse effect on the Republicans, but I certainly hope it does not.
Do you remember Lloyd Oliver?
I do remember Lloyd Oliver.
You remember what Lloyd Oliver said that got him kicked off the ballot?
He was supporting the Republican nominee.
Yeah, he was. So my question is, Lloyd Oliver, Democrat for DA, he said, I think he said basically he was going to support. I don't even think he said he was going to vote for. He just said he'd prefer like some type of Republican over Democrat. And lo and behold, the Democrats are so outraged by Lloyd Oliver. The Tea Party Democrat, as he called himself. They were so upset about that Tea Party Democrat, they kicked him off the ballot. Will that happen here?
Well, I think it's too late there because that was in the primary situations. I don't think they're going to kick him off the ballot, but I understand Emmett's position because he's a very strong candidate countywide. And he doesn't really necessarily need every single Democrat to win or every single Republican to win because he does have enough crossover appeal. But was it necessary in this instance to take that last jab? Because everybody's saying this is Emmett's last tenure or last term once he wins. Was it necessary or was that just a potting shot to go as he leaves his last election?
So if you're looking at it strategically, it could be necessary because you have like this overtone of Beto and him pushing for Harris County and likely to win Harris County. The question should become, how much does Beto win Harris County by? Does he win it by 10, 15% like Hillary did 2 years ago? Or does he just barely win it or even hypothetically lose it like with like Ted Cruz, his election 6 years ago, where Ted Cruz just squeaked Harris County?
He did. And that's the thing. With the county so competitive, I'm shocked. I am truly shocked that the Harris County Republican Party chairman would not have that discussion with Ed Emmett prior to making such a bold statement. But am I shocked that he didn't? I'm probably lying if I say I'm shocked.
Well, let's kind of go into that. Just a minute. This is a good thing to kind
I'll
of
let
veer
y'all
off.
talk about that one.
Let me veer off just for a minute on this because you got, if I remember right, the financial chair of the Republican Party, who also is very influential in an organization, and that organization endorses Democrats. So you have that kind of tying on. The HRBC, who endorsed Democrats over Republicans, though it did primarily endorse Republicans, It's an alleged Republican organization that does support Democrats. To deny that is to be dishonest. And you have someone with such close alliance to the Republican Party. That brings me some pause. It also brings me some pause that the consultant for the local Republican Party is tied in with Strauss and just an excruciating moderate. All this tied together with, guess who was on air saying vote for Paul Simpson? It was Ed Emmett.
No.
So
no.
I don't know.
Don't say it ain't so.
Oh, so you see all this stuff going on, all this loosey-goosey Republican winking, playing footsies with Democrats. You wonder, is this like an inside job to sabotage in some certain races? I don't know. I hope it's not. I'm going to be positive about it. But dadgum, there's a lot there.
And that's the thing. The party has given full resources to Ed Emmett and the likes of like Sarah Davis, who's very in a competitive district herself. And there's always that preach about big tent. But when you take a shot at an ultra-right conservative like Dan Patrick, is the Harris County Republican Party truly a big tent party now? Or is it just saying, if you're not moderate, probably don't have a spot here for you?
Yeah. Well, I
don't know. I mean, those are the questions that are probably going to be answered soon enough.
Big tent when it's convenient for the party. Whenever you're paying to play, it's big tent.
Yeah.
So let's kind of maybe turn the page.
Well, now we have the election coming up. That's true. And, today's special guest is a longtime practicing lawyer, great mind, great scholar, good friend of mine, and also a stout judicious mind. That is Mr. Ray J. Black Jr. Welcome to the Eric Dick Show.
Thank you, Chris. Thank you, Eric.
And so you are running for, like I said earlier, the Harris County Probate Court number 2. And that's a very special court in Harris County because there's 4 of them, because the legislator has specifically drawn out in certain jurisdictions, you have a specific probate court instead of just going to a regular district court or a county court, correct?
Correct, and they primarily sit in the major metropolitan areas here in Texas. There's an exception to that, but in Harris County, as you said, we have 4 statutory probate courts. They're specialized courts, and they're courts of original jurisdiction for probate cases, guardianship cases, fiduciary litigation, and elder law and mental health issues. And because they're specialized, their jurisdiction is actually broader than your average probate court. So there are issues that can be related to probate or guardianship cases that are not probate and guardianship related or specific, but they get drawn into probate courts, and so they have broad jurisdiction. The same as you might find in a district court, for example, where they hear personal injury cases, so can a statutory probate court, or they can hear divorce cases and family law, so can a statutory probate court if it's related to their underlying issue.
Hi, this is Eric Dick, and I think it is important that you know your rights. If your homeowner's insurance company has denied or underpaid your claim, you have the right to hire an attorney. You have the right to call me for a free consultation at 833-7-RIGHTS. That's 833-7-RIGHTS. Don't let your homeowner's insurance company take advantage of you. Call me today at 833-7-RIGHTS.
Has your homeowner's insurance claim been denied or underpaid? Call Dick Law Firm at 833-7-RIGHTS.
Incident appertaining to an estate or one action.
And so one of those would be if, for example, if there's a wrongful death action, if it's there in probate, during the probate period, and someone in the family files a wrongful death, would that go to the probate court or would that go to the district court?
It depends on the filing of matters. So sometimes those cases get filed separately. So if you have a personal injury case where someone dies or is severely injured, then the probate or the guardianship, if there's one, may get filed over in the statutory probate court, but the personal injury case may end up over in district court to start. But it's not uncommon for those personal injury cases to get drawn back into probate court if it warrants a transfer. And it's not It's not unheard of. In fact, for years, when I first started practicing, when the district court dockets were so backlogged, it was not uncommon for cases to get pulled over in probate court because they had more time to hear the cases, and you got a lot faster a trial schedule, and you got a result quicker than you might in district court.
Okay, and so another example, say I have a guy that owes me maybe $200,000 and he passes away. I mean, I'm sure I still want to collect my money somehow. Where do I go and file suit to collect my money from that estate?
So as a creditor of somebody's estate, if there's a estate pending, you can file a claim in that estate for the amount that you believe you're owed. There's a process for that. And so it's important, as Eric says all the time, you need to get your lawyer involved. But it is a very complicated process at times. The probate system is statutory in nature. There's a huge estates code that your average lawyer, I think, can even be intimidated by because there's so much to wade through when you have issues like that. But that's where they would file it in the probate court in the estate. Or if there's not one pending, they can even open an estate for that deceased person as the creditor, and they can proceed with their claim that way.
I just note that the probate code is exceptionally complicated. And I think complicated's the best way to explain it, because you have some parts of the law that say one thing, and then lo and behold, you got other parts of the law that say something completely different. So you've got
Almost contradictory.
It is contradictory. So it's difficult, I'd say, for the average lawyer, probably even difficult for the average probate lawyer to understand probate law. And I'm so happy we have you here today, Ray, because not only is he just a nice guy, which is really, really, really important for being a judge, Ray actually understands the law, which is rare. But
because it is a complicated part, like you said. I mean, he can not only just hear probate matters, but because it's called the probate court, but he hears a lot of other things. Let me ask you this, because this is a question that we sometimes get, and maybe we'll have to answer it on the way back. But hold that thought, because a lot of things in Harris County surround about this immigration debate. Does that tie to probate? We'll find out.
Oh, next, you guys stick in.
We'll find out soon.
Eric Dick Show, stick with me.
So what is the question?
Oh, yeah. Okay, so when schools, so you have school districts, and you have families who, they have kids that are over here, but not necessarily the parents, but they have relatives that live here, and so the kids want to stay with the relatives and go to a school here. School sometimes says, okay, we need somebody who says they're the guardians. Do you need an actual guardianship? Or do you just have to have a power of attorney over the body, or the person, not the estate?
Gotcha. Well, the answer.
With the parents back in whatever country, does it go? That's so. Because I get that question a lot.
We got a phone call from Buck Humble. He wants to talk about a touchy Adrian Garcia.
Yeah.
Grabby Garcia.
Grabby Garcia. Oh.
Okay, so we have a call that he wants to talk about Adrian Garcia, and his name is Buck Buchanan.
Buck Buchanan? We know Buck Buchanan.
I'll talk about Grabby
I
Garcia.
figured you must.
Buck I have a picture of Buck taking my son.
The name of the show is The Eric Dick Show. It's on KPRC AM 950 right there. So, and then Eric, right here. So yeah, if you go on to 950 AM on your radio or go on the iHeartMedia app, look for it. You'll see it. We're on live right now. Man, why don't y'all tell me my hair was already just combobulated? Y'all gotta look out for me. Y'all are looking out for me today.
I have a face for it.
That's I got a face.
Today truly is the face for radio. The number is 713-212-5950. So if y'all want to call in again, 713-212-5950.
Grabby Garcia.
Touchy Sylvia. Grabby Garcia.
You just don't go. You go into you go into precinct 2. Unless
You go to the East End.
Unless Mormons around watching you, you're gonna get touched. Thank God you got a Mormon right there. I'm trying to get them off you. Fighting Jack, just fighting them to fighting
What
away the
does?
molesters.
My hair? Come on. Nah, it's usually nice and, some little fluff in there. Now, I think it's going to put that water on in the headphones. Leave me alone.
The softball practice court.
Post practice.
Yeah, you know what it is? It's because normally my whole body hydrates from these drinks, but I grabbed the wrong one today. I got the honey instead of the cinnamon. Yeah. The honey helps the curls lay down flat.
Okay.
Yeah. 10 seconds. So Buck comes on. There you go.
All right, folks, we're back for the final segment of the Eric Dick Show, and I hear someone's calling, want to talk about Grabby Garcia. You better watch out if you're in the East End. You better watch out. You got 2 elected officials that got some slippery hands. Gonna touch you. You there, Buck? Hey, man, what's going on? Welcome to the Eric Dick Show. Please.
And I don't know how he won in the first place. But then after he was elected sheriff, in midterm, he quit to run for mayor. Adrian Garcia was an HPD officer, city councilman. Then he ran for sheriff, and he wasn't running for the people. He was running for himself. And then he ran for congressman and lost. Well, he ran for mayor and then lost. And then he ran for congressman. Now he's running against Commissioner Mormon.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't live in Commissioner Mormon's district. But how does Adrian Garcia get elected like that when he stays nowhere? Do y'all have any answer for that?
The sheeple.
The people on the East End, they know Adrian Garcia, but he always gets elected. I was just wondering if Republicans would be helping Adrian get in there.
There are a sliver of Republicans that do support him. People like Jacob Motti, which I kind of wonder why he feels the need to support Adrian Garcia. But, on the other hand, you have fighting Jack Mormon, who he has a lot of bipartisan support. Jack he's a good guy. He's the real deal. He really is just a people's person. It's kind of shocked me whenever I first met him and how so there's a tie in here. You got Touchy Sylvia, who got arrogant being a county commissioner. She had $2 million in the bank and just did nothing, figured that she was gonna be a county commissioner, get all of her secretaries to sit in her lap. It was gonna be a good time. But, while she was too busy, I guess, doing what she was doing, fighting Jack Mormon got in there and he won. He won by just doing the basic things, going door to door, letting everybody know it was time for a change. He's going to do a good job. And the guy he really has done a good job. I don't see him losing Precinct 2. I just don't see it. He has run such a tight campaign. He's been everywhere. If you're in Precinct 2, you're going to walk around. You're just going to see him just driving by. That guy is everywhere in Precinct 2. And if there's just like a bike show, you're going to see him there.
He's everywhere. And so, but to answer your question, I mean, Adrian, got elected in, I think it was 2008, first as sheriff.
It was against Tommy Thomas.
And you got to keep in mind, at that time, there were some internal issues going on with the Thomas campaign and the administration. And so that's how Adrian was able to get the confidence of the county people. But thanks for the call, Buck.
Let's move on to Jim. You there, Jim? Hey, Jim.
Did we lose Jim?
I don't know. You there, Jim?
Yeah.
Yes, sir. What's going down? Welcome to the Eric Dick Show.
I love y'all sending continuously support. And I just had a quick question in regards to the law career. Chris Carmona is actually a Facebook friend, and I heard about it through his live right now. So what's up, Chris? Thank you.
What's going on, Jim?
Hey, man, I'm about 1L year at Texas Southern University, Thurgood Marshall School of Law, and I just wanted to ask some advice in regards to pursuing my career as an attorney. Is there any advice that you might have before I finish and I graduate, as far as positioning myself in a way where I can, maximize my opportunities? I definitely want to make sure I preserve my energy.
Absolutely. Network. You want to build your network. That's the best thing you do. I know a lot of people are going to focus on getting good grades, make sure you're at the top of your class. And that's important to make sure you pass, but your network is going to be the thing that makes you successful. And another thing, get politically involved, because law and politics go hand in hand. And one way or the other, you're always going to be involved somehow. And the more you know, the more people you know, it's going to enhance your network. But it's also going to give you brighter minds to surround yourself with. And it's going to surround yourself with people who actually make decisions once they get elected on the bench. You'll have that opportunity to know their mindset because you converse with them, you hang around with them, and you network with them. So build your network.
Also,
I would say both.
you want to meet and talk with as many people as you can, because the non-attorneys will end up being your clients. The attorneys you'll end up dealing with, they'll be friends, they'll mentors, mentees, just people that you pick each other's mind. Because cool, man. Thank you.
Don't forget your classmates too, because those are people you're going to continue to network with the rest of your career, and you don't know what they're going to do as they progress through their legal career, and you're going to touch base with them for years to come.
And you talk about the network. One of my friends, I'm involved in Young Republicans across the country, and one of my network group, Matthew Gilson, just joined on my live feed. I got people in New Jersey, California, Omaha who refer. So just make sure you build that network and don't just stay local. Build your national network. So thanks for the call, Jim.
Hey, so thank you. Hey, we have Ahmed. Hey, man, what's going down? Welcome to the Eric Dick Show.
Exciting when we talk about politics in America. That's why I'm personally writing a book, which is not done yet, going to be Immigrants for America. I ran for county commissioner, I ran for county judge, I ran for youth Congress, I ran Republican, Democrat, Independent in Kansas, and I'm here. But you know what? I love America. Last election in year 16, I was the Democratic nominee for county judge. Okay?
Congratulations.
I have a law degree. I have a doctorate degree. I have a security clearance from the feds in all three.
Wow.
I'm highly educated. I'm a businessman. And guess what? Because the name Hassan always can beat me in the primary. And that's why I keep running. Because the people, they need to change their image. They love you as a lawyer, as a businessman, as a doctor, as whatever. But when it comes to election, they do not vote for a name, which is sad, because we all immigrants, but people don't realize that. That's a name.
All right, thanks for the call, man. Thank you. We'll keep that in mind going forward. We have to make sure we just look past names, and we appreciate the call.
We really do, man. And sometimes, thank you so much. And we're sorry, we're running out of time. Didn't mean to really cut you off, but with names, you just got to keep running. I have an odd last name. Some people consider it a lot of different. A lot of different people have different opinions on it.
Yeah. And so, again, one last question in terms of probate. While we have Ray Black here, does immigration in any way play a role in the probate court, especially in Harris County? There's always that the issue of immigration that pops up one way or the other. Does that play a role in the probate courts? And if people are parents from another country want to send their kids to Harris County to live with a relative, do they need to go through the probate process for that?
Well, it depends. If the school district, which oftentimes needs someone with some legal authority to speak or make decisions on behalf of the child who may be here, you may actually have them ask that a guardian get appointed for the minor to have some legal authority to make decisions for them. And if that's true, then of course the probate courts are the place to go. That's where we do guardianships, and we do them for everybody who is fitting in the statute as someone who's, as they claim, incapacitated. But being a minor is part of the definition of being incapacitated. So they fit into the system, and as needed, we take care of those minors. It's not uncommon. It doesn't have to just be with the school district. We see that all the time. We talked earlier about personal injury cases. Personal injury cases affect everybody. It doesn't matter whether you're a U.S. citizen or not. In your case, may end up in probate court. So we cover all facets of that. And while we don't deal with immigration directly, we certainly deal with people who have an issue.
Thank you, guys. Don't forget to vote. Election's coming soon. Thank you so much, Ray Black. He's a great guy.
He is, and you know, Ray is again one of the most knowledgeable attorneys I know, not just on probate, but with a lot of things. So remember, November, look for those names on the ballot, people that you can trust, and Ray Black is one of them. And also remember that if you have the need for someone to fight for you because of some homeowner insurance disputes, insurance company's not taking care of you, who do they need to call?
Better Get Dick, Eric Dick.
Better Get Dick, Eric Dick. And it's been a pleasure spending some time with y'all on this Saturday afternoon. Chris Carmonas here with Ray J. Black Jr. and Eric B. Dick. Take us away, Eric.
Next time. See you guys next week. Y'all have a great weekend. Bye. That was fun. It's always fun.
Guys, thank y'all again. Thanks for the calls.
See you guys.
And, thanks for the feedback. I'll get back to y'all. Peace.
Hi, this is Eric Dick, and I think it is important that you know your rights. If your homeowner's insurance company has denied or underpaid your claim, you have the right to hire an attorney. You have the right to call me for a free consultation at 833-7-RIGHTS. That's 833-7-RIGHTS. Don't let your homeowner's insurance company take advantage of you. Call me today at 833-7-RIGHTS.
Has your homeowner's insurance claim been denied or underpaid? Call Dick Law Firm at 833-7-RIGHTS.
Whenever I'm bumping you out, I'm going to give you like a minute of music for that bump out, and you can just pace it accordingly. But or I can stretch out a little bit longer. Just depends on how you want to.
So as soon as we hear the music, it's going to be 1 minute to start transitioning to the break.
Yeah, I'll do it. I'll try to do it smoothly and quickly.
Show. Have a great, safe Saturday. We will see you right here next week too, and on hightech.com. But right now, my show is over.
Texas Mutual Insurance Company celebrates 20 consecutive years of distributing dividends. We've sent $2.5 billion to save Texas businesses, including a record $280 million payout in 2018. For more about the sweet rewards of safety-focused workers' comp, ask your agent or go to WorksafeTexas.com.
I'm Pat. I'm from Harlem, New York. I started smoking cigarettes when I was about 17, 18 when I was in the military.
Hey guys, I'm going to go live in just a couple minutes. Thank you guys for tuning in. I'm on Instagram and Facebook. So, and you can also listen on KPRC AM 950. Maybe if I just move them all together right here, it might be better. That's good.
That was the first time I got the Jewel. I gave it a chance.
So guys,
I wish I found it a long time ago.
Wave it on my friends. Thank you all for supporting me. We're going to go live in just a couple minutes, okay?
JUUL.com. Warning, this product contains nicotine. Nicotine is an addictive chemical.
Hey, did you hear that last ad? I know, you might be skeptical, but trust me, Juul is a vaporizer that really satisfies. If you're ready to switch from cigarettes,
Juul is an option you'll definitely want to try. You'll be happy you did. Don't wait. Give Juul a shot.
3 minutes.
Exciting. 3 minutes. Exciting. See, even Judge Prine's joined. Wow.
What if every time
Exciting.
someone has LASIK, hopefully I said, help them stop the
Fantastic judge, Charlie Prine. Great guy.
around and let the student in need begin with their prescription glasses for free. Yep, listen to this. It's their Seed to Succeed program. The Free Eye Center gives free eyeglasses to students in need. That's free eyeglass frames to students in need worth up to $200 every time someone has LASIK. So help yourself. Oh, by the way, and a student in need, help them to see better by calling 713-526-EYES. 713-526-EYES. And ask about what the guys said. Seed to Succeed LASIK offer. And so do something for yourself. All right.
All right, so if anybody tries calling me in the next hour, I'm not going to respond to text unless I kill a life at some point. I don't know yet.
Seed to Succeed. 713-526.
When the need for senior care arises, there's no place like home. Your loved ones should never have to give up living at home. Visiting Angels will provide home care for your mom or dad at home up to 24 hours per day, including personal care, meals, and light housework. You'll select your professional caregiver with Visiting Angels. Look up visitingangels.com or call 877-374-LIVE. That's 877-374-LIVE.
Oh, Justin's giving you a holler out.
Visiting Angels, America's choice in senior home care.
Win your way to our 2018 iHeartRadio
A lot of great
Music
people.
Festival. Justin Timberlake,
I'll take America West far. I haven't seen him in a long time.
hosted by Ryan Seacrest, September 21st and 22nd at T-Mobile Arena in Las Vegas.
Okay. Going live and oh geez, almost there. It's like we're about to go live.
KPRC, Houston, an iHeart radio station.
Still packing a punch. I'm Roger Stern, Fox News. Hawaiians still have a lot to worry about, even though what happened Hurricane Lane was downgraded to a tropical storm. FEMA Administrator Brock Long talking to Fox News.
We're still projecting more than 2 days worth of rainfall to continue to inundate the state. And quite honestly,
Give the phone number. Give the phone number for them to call in.
That surpassed what we saw last year with
13212. Perfect. Just making sure.
Right on parts of Hawaii's Big Island. Tributes pouring in for Arizona Senator and Vietnam War hero John McCain. This after yesterday's announcement that he has ended medical treatment for brain cancer with the end of his life fast approaching. The Army's Chief of Staff General Mark Milley calls McCain an American hero. Meanwhile, President Trump did not mention McCain during a speech last night in Ohio. President Trump today taking another swipe at his Attorney General Jeff Sessions. Fox's Jillian Turner in Washington telling us what the president is tweeting.
Jeff Sessions said he wouldn't allow politics to influence him only because he doesn't understand what's happening underneath his command position. Highly conflicted Bob Mueller and his gang of 17 angry Dems are having a field day as real corruption goes untouched. No collusion.
The president's had a strained relationship with Jeff Sessions ever since the AG recused himself in the Russia probe, allowing a subordinate to appoint special counsel Robert Mueller. Pope Francis visiting Ireland today, acknowledging the child sex abuse scandal in the Catholic Church.
If one thinks about those who are most vulnerable, I cannot fail to acknowledge the grave scandal caused in Ireland by the abuse of young people, minors, by members of the church.
That reporting courtesy of Sky News. Ireland has been particularly hard hit by the sex abuse scandal. Fox News.
Can you guys hear? Can you guys hear?
My mic's on, right?
I believe you're.
No one can understand.
Okay.
Sure, we only hit that whenever you're ready, because it will go on the air. You just seem to think that having
It's off now. Yeah, I can hear you.
I can't hear you
Okay.
unless you hold down that.
No, it's on now, right?
Yeah, you don't want to turn it on until we're on, until we're on the air ready for the show itself. Or else it will go on.
Oh, where's that one?
It's going to be probably the MC mic.
Yeah, don't.
You can get me to use drugs. My life changed because someone was there to listen.
1 in 7 Americans will struggle with
So there's a button to chat with me. Let me see. Okay, yeah, I guess you don't have that button right here. You know,
That might be
I'm not quite sure. Maybe we could try it. Yeah. You ready?
I'm ready.
All right.
But the Labor Day weekend
Locked and loaded.
The unofficial end of summer's only a week away. Beachgoers trying to get a little more time in the ocean, but as Bill Nader reports, a tiny little creek is making this miserable for some on the East Coast.
Sea lice causing outbreaks of itching and burning bumps for many people trying to enjoy the waters off the coast of Maryland. Sea lice aren't really lice; they're microscopic jellyfish. And
Is this the
when
one?
you get under your bathing suit, look out. You are in for some itchy little bites in some very tender places.
Some swimmers notice that they start to feel itchy right after they get out of the water, but other people, 2 to 4 days is the time frame where we will see that eruption.
Vic, you ready?
I'm ready. Exciting.
Up to a week. The sea lice haven't been limited to Maryland. The Baltimore Sun says there had been reports of them earlier in the year in Florida and the Carolinas. Jill Nato, Fox News.
Folks in Jacksonville, Florida, today mourning the loss of life from a
Yes,
shooting
I
following last
can you hear me?
football game at Rains High School.
Okay, so this must be the button then, right?
Injured police have a suspect in custody. And there was a shooting near a high school in Fairfield, California. A 16-year-old boy was killed and an 18-year-old is in critical condition.
This one right here?
Fairfield Police Lieutenant Greg Probut says
that
he made arrests.
Subject fled the scene, appeared to be connected to the shooting, and that subject
Okay.
was located mixed in amongst the students in the jail.
2 people are in custody. And about face from a prominent CEO.
Tesla CEO Elon Musk saying investors convinced him in a meeting not to take the company private. Musk issued a statement Friday saying the firm remains on the public stock markets for now. Musk saying investors told him they had internal rules limiting just how much they can
All right,
sink
so
into the private company.
Fox's Paul
we're getting ready to go live
Musk made
in
waves
moments.
this summer by saying he might take Tesla private. I'm Roger Stern, Fox News Radio.
From the Corey Diamonds and Design Traffic Center. Delays around the downtown area as you move northbound on the Gulf Freeway from Telephone, past 69. 69 also heavy from I-10 down past the split with 288. And you also have slow traffic on the outbound side of the North Freeway from 410 up to Tidwell. I'm Stephen Foss in the 24-hour traffic center.
This report is brought to you by Office Depot Office Max. If your back-to-school shopping list is testing your budget, the answer is shopping at Office Depot Office Max. From pencils to laptops and everything in between, you'll find low prices all summer long online, on their app, or in-store at the place that's serious about supply.
Houston, Texas. There's a new sheriff in town when it comes to buying cars. Give me the VIN.com. If I don't beat a CarMax offer, I'll send you a check for $100. Period in the store. Opinions provided on the Eric Dick Show are for informational purposes only and not for the purpose of providing legal advice. You should contact your attorney to obtain advice with respect to any particular issue or problem. The opinions expressed on the Eric Dick Show are that of the hosts and guests and do not reflect the opinions of this station or iHeartMedia.
When you've got big problems, you need to have a big, you need Eric Dick, homeowner insurance lawyer and trustee for the Harris County Department of Education. This is the Eric Dick Show.
All right. Thank you guys so much for joining me today on the very first ever Eric Dick Show. Exciting with yours truly as a guest. I have my wingman, Chris Carmona.
Hello, hello.
Another fantastic attorney in the Houston area. And we are going to talk about a lot of really exciting stuff. I know, I really get excited when I talk about homeowners insurance.
I know you do, man. And, you mentioned homeowners insurance, and, it's hard not to mention the end of August and then to think of the end of August last year, what we had with Harvey.
Oh, how can I forget Harvey? Oh, the storm that overwhelmed me. Let's start talking about Harvey, because it was an interesting time in Houston last year. We're talking, and this is almost, I think tomorrow's the anniversary. Yeah. I think one thing, if we're just talking straight up with Harvey, that people need to know that a lot of people don't understand is if you do have I'm going to start going lawyer here, so you guys are going to have to forgive me. I'm going to start.
It is a legal show.
It is a legal show. I'm going to start dropping information that's pretty important. So if you have a flood insurance policy, I commonly refer to it as NFIP, National Flood Insurance Program. It's really important that you file your proof of loss by tomorrow. Well, actually not tomorrow, by Monday, which would be the 1-year anniversary. If you've already filed a proof of loss, no big deal. But if you haven't filed a proof of loss, so let me kind of back up a little bit. If you were flooded by Harvey, if you have any property damage that was related from the storm of Harvey last year, they probably want to take your advice pretty seriously right now, because there's a lot of people that have been hurt by this financially. And it's been a long process, with FEMA not being responsive as we thought they were going to be, with the city, with different charity organizations. Some people just have no help coming to them, right? And so if they need legal assistance, what is the pathway that they should have been following? And it's not too late to still go on and get this done by the deadline of the 1-year anniversary, right? For flood, if you're talking wind, if you're talking other stuff, it's different. But for flood, if you have a dispute as to your loss, it's pretty much, Monday's the deadline to file your proof of loss, and you absolutely have to file a proof of loss. After you file the proof of loss, you can go back, you can dispute it, you can whatever, you can have your fight, but you have a 1-year deadline. It usually it's like 30 days or 60 days, but they extended it to 1 year. So you have to file that proof of loss if you have a dispute with your flood insurance policy. Now, if it's there's a lot of other things that happened with Hurricane Harvey that we could talk about, but I just really wanted to emphasize, and I'll probably emphasize that a bit with that 1-year proof of loss, because not many people are talking about it. A lot of people don't understand it, but you can get that form online for the proof of loss, but it has to be filed within 1 year. I just want to say that a lot, so people. I know I'm repeating myself, but it's really important, because you lose all your claims.
Okay, can they find that form at the Dick Law Firm website?
I imagine they could. If I don't really do flood insurance claims very much. I do a few of them because I typically do first party insurance with my firm. If they called me or messaged me, I'd point you the right direction. But it's not really. I'm not trying to get business from this at all. In fact, I kind of don't really want the business. I'm just trying to provide basic information that people should know. I'd hope they know, and they don't. But it's just not explained enough about the 1-year proof of loss.
And no one's going to highlight this and promote, come and file a claim by Monday. So it's a good thing that you're actually here today telling all the listeners about this 1-year deadline to make sure that they do get that proof of claim in if they do have one before the deadline, correct?
Yeah, that's right. It's only for the flood insurance policies. The windstorm and all that is a completely different beast. It's completely different type of stuff. And we could, naturally, I guess we could talk about the windstorm a little bit. And I'll talk about insurance so I'm blue in my face. And again, it's horribly exciting stuff. People live on Facebook see the faces I'm making. Okay, so the windstorm, that's interesting. There was a lot of, whenever Harvey hit, there was maybe those that were here. Remember, there's a number of like little tornadoes that tagged along all over the city, north side. Like right after Harvey, I physically inspected a couple of buildings, and I was kind of amazed by the amount of wind damage. Where you had one building where the roof was torn off, where they flooded both ways, from the bottom up and the top down. And you see a lot of that in Houston. And what's sad, just from my own personal experience, is a number of insurance companies, they just take this hard position that there just wasn't any wind damage at all. But
property damage from Hurricane Harvey is devastating. That pain has been made worse by your insurance company underpaying or outright denying your claim, sometimes without even inspecting your home. I'm attorney Eric Dick, and it's my job to make insurance companies accountable. If you feel you've been taken advantage of by a greedy insurance company, call me today at 833-3HARVEY, 833-3HARVEY. That's 833-3HARVEY. Call me right now.
That Harvey was just a water event, and that's all it was. There's only flood. It didn't involve there was no winds, and it's just not true. And it just simply isn't true. I mean, unless the stuff I've seen firsthand, and many of other people have suffered with the windstorm and the wind damages and the tornadoes that came through. So I mean, it's just sad that that's kind of the state of affairs. I don't want to dwell on this whole insurance too much.
And that's the thing. I mean, we've, as we approach the 1 year anniversary of Harvey, I mean, there's still a lot of families out there that haven't been given the assistance needed. And so, it's always right to make sure we remember those who have lost items. And, there were some lost lives in Harvey as well. One of Houston's most tragic events overall. And so when people and families are trying to rebuild their life, a year later, there's still things that need to be done. It's a good thing we have lawyers like Eric B. Dick there to make sure that they can advocate for people and for families to make sure that they can get their house back in order, even as we approach the 1 year mark.
But it was just more than windstorm and flooding. You had a number of other factors kind of going on. You had the chemical plant that exploded that wasn't really expected, and that caused a lot of damage, a lot of craziness.
A lot of collateral damage, just from the floods, the winds, everything that's associated with a catastrophic event. Eric B. Dick, Chris Carmona, we'll be back after this short break.
Thank you guys so much. I didn't hear the trigger. I guess
when she said 30 seconds, I was like, "Oh!" I didn't hear the music till around 35.
I heard something. We'll get better. That's okay. We'll figure it out.
Were we okay? Was our volume all right? Tone? Okay.
Can y'all hear okay?
Yeah.
Oh, can you guys hear okay?
It might not be
yeah, he gave the thumbs up.
It might be that you have an honest disagreement or an honest mistake. But you don't want to go
all right, so when we come back from this break,
you need to call Top.
What is that? Phillips said anything? Is he
They
here?
have a local
All of our phones are
and this is what
recording something right now.
Oh, Philip's calling right now.
They know
Is he?
how to
Yeah.
deal with the IRS. And frankly,
You hear Philip?
if you owe $10,000 or more,
Okay. Hey, Chris, go down and get Philip.
professional help in Top
I'll be right back.
vendors
Chris, come down.
can get it. 713-489-7433. 713-489-7433. What's at stake here? You're dealing with the IRS. Think about it for a minute. Are you going to go that alone? No. Call
I hope I didn't throw you off.
No, I'm okay. I didn't mind at all.
all day.
I'll get lost in just blabbing.
Oh, you're fine.
24,
Yeah, I'll give you a 30-second mark and then a 10-second. And so I could just do it with my hands if that's better for you, or I can do it in your ear.
It's in my ears better because I'm more distracted with all the information.
Understandable.
That depends. Are you a fan?
No, I'm disgusted that you just sexually assaulted me.
Oh, well, in that case, my name is Brian Williams.
No, it isn't. You're lying. Just like Brian Williams does. Except you're not Brian Williams. I knew I should have gotten that concrete sidewalk fixed.
Sounds like someone should have called Southern Concrete Raising. Southern Concrete Raising is Houston's finest leveling and raising specialists. They fix concrete with no gimmicks. Don't let that crack in your sidewalk create a legal problem for you just because you were too busy to get it fixed. My friend Ty Strickland can send someone over to your property free of charge to give you a quote on your concrete. You don't even have to be there when they come by. They'll take care of everything. Find them online at SouthernConcreteRaising.com.
Come plug in over here.
It's Doug White from 50 Plus. If you haven't taken a look lately at the UT Health Science Center Consortium on Aging website, You need to do
Realize
something.
this is still
Freshen
going.
it up. There's so much information.
We're
there.
back. Sorry about that.
People like you, people
Dumped y'all on the
who are a
side.
little bit older
I was negligent.
and want to talk to somebody about people who are focused on our care, on geriatric medicine. I'm not geriatric yet, but hey, I'm old.
Where you gonna sit? You gonna sit over there? Oh, with the plug-in over there.
UTH.edu/aging. That's UTH.edu/aging.
So I just discovered DazzleMe.com. It started out as the jewelry department at the Home Consignment Center, and now their entire jewelry collection, one of my rings is there as well. That's on DazzleMe.com. From the big name,
All right, so we'll transition. We'll talk about
to the unique design.
Talk about the
Still talk about Harvey. We can talk a little bit more about Harvey. I know people on my Facebook want me to talk a little bit about Twitter, which is a big mess in itself. And I know they want me to talk a little bit about Beto and Cruz, which is a really fascinating thing. But
2 points, 4 points close.
I think Cruz can lose that. Cruz really.
Whole sponsor lots of stuff around the country club so we can bring in bands.
So, give us some feedback what you think right now. It's our first live segment ever. On the air. Myself, Eric Dick. We just got a new guest in today. Philip Paul Bryant just walked in the studio. So, but drop some comments, man. Let us know how we're doing. What do you want to hear? We're going to talk about Harvey a lot today and going back to school. We'll throw a little bit of politics in at the end or somewhere where we can fit it. But send us our questions and we'll give a call-in number in a minute. Y'all can call up here.
On KPRC 950.
Okay. All right. Am I on? Oh, yeah.
All right.
All right. Oh, so exciting. We're back. Back for more. Couldn't get enough.
Welcome back to the Eric Dick Show on KPRC 950 AM. Eric, so when we left off, man, we were talking about Harvey and its devastation. And just so we make sure we have everybody on the same page when it comes to the flood claims, they can go to FEMA.gov and actually pick up that application.
Yes.
Correct.
And it's a proof of loss. Its deadline is Monday. It's 1 year. It was extended to 1 year. That's just, and I know we've talked about that a lot, but it doesn't hurt to say it again. But something else to talk about is so we're going with Harvey and all that. So TWIA, Texas Windstorm Insurance Association, which is kind of a nightmare in itself. There's been a lot of problems with TWIA, to be fair, since its conception. This isn't the first time that there are big problems with TWIA. TWIA is basically the last resort insurance company. It's government funded. It's for people off the coast: Galveston, Brazoria County, Corpus Christi, right off the coast. So whenever Harvey hit, it primarily did hit people that had policies with Texas Windstorm. I bring this up, the problems that Texas Windstorm has had in the past. So whenever Hurricane Ike was going on, they got in a lot of trouble. They basically decided that they just weren't going to pay anything, basically. And I know that's probably abbreviating too much.
And it's only gotten worse since that time, right? I mean, we keep passing some laws to make it harder for homeowners to actually recover. And TWIA is a big part of that, correct?
And then we wonder why the race between Beto and Ted Cruz is so close. And don't get me wrong, I'm voting for Ted Cruz, but we wonder why it's so close whenever we pass laws that are anti-consumer, that are anti-people.
Yeah, there seems to be a trend to hurt the little guy over and over again. And then when we have these events, like we had an Ike and then we have a Harvey, we got to be careful about who we're actually protecting, because we start hurting all the homeowners and the consumers. It's just going to be a long road for everybody who's in power right now.
It's not going to be a long road. They're going to lose. I mean, and Ted Cruz should be completely scared, and he is acting scared, as he should be, because you've got Beto. And I'm not saying Beto's a better candidate, because he's not. But what's going on with Beto is he has a good message. He's saying no more corruption. I'm done with corruption. I mean, is he really? I don't know about that. But he's saying no more corruption. I'm not taking PAC money. and he's getting some movement. And he really could win.
I mean, he's not taking PAC money, but he's taking all kinds of foreign money outside the great state of Texas. But yeah, I mean, you great point. I mean, especially at the federal level, when we have these natural disasters, we turn to the federal government to do the emergency aid. And did we see anything put forward recently or last year? They're actually going to protect these consumers. Is Beto going to campaign on that? Is Cruz going to be able to recover from that? Is he going to make that a huge campaign issue between now and November?
It absolutely could happen. I mean, I don't think Ted Cruz is going to embrace, and it's unfortunate. But I don't think Ted Cruz is going to embrace consumerism. I don't think he is. I wish he would. I think it would help him. I don't think he is. I hope that more people, Republicans at the local level, embrace consumerism, because it's their constituents. It's literally their constituents. And whenever they side with special interest, big money, big business over individuals, I mean, what do you expect? They're going to vote, especially with the Hurricane Harvey. So you had a new law that went into place, like literally 2 weeks or the week of Hurricane Harvey. I think it might have even been maybe a couple days of Hurricane Harvey, 542A. And so this put
the Texas Insurance Code 542A, right?
Yes, Texas Insurance Code 542A. And this was, and I'm gonna give you some quotes, because quote, greedy lawyers were filing claims, and that this is the rationale, because greedy, evil lawyers were filing claims, even though they're filing on behalf of their people that they're hired for. But lawyers only good whenever I guess you need one, right? And that's the joke. So these big bad lawyers,
but it's greedy trial lawyers. You got to make sure you put that in there. Greedy trial lawyers.
Yeah, because considering that there's more lawyers on the Republican side than there are the Democrat side, it's just nonsensical. It's just all that is. It's just big money being funneled from special interests for propaganda, and it's corruption, and there's a lot of stuff going on with that. But so you had that being pushed. You had the law changed, where basically it's difficult. You have to have a high level of precision when you're making your demand letter. If you're not perfectly right, you lose your client's right to recover attorney fees. So guess what happens? It's not hardly any lawyers are interested in the cases. There's a handful of them, and I do those cases, but not a whole lot of attorneys do those cases. You have a market that's needed. You have a bad storm come through, and you have a whole bunch of people upset, and they're upset at a lot of things. But this new law that got pushed by Republicans, that doesn't help. That doesn't help, especially in this year when you have a whole wave coming from Donald Trump. You have a whole national wave being pushed. It doesn't help.
It's the resentment. It's the anti-alt-right movement this year. And when you have people, especially in Harris County and the Houston area and Galveston, remembering Harvey and remembering that the effect it still has on them, they're going to remember that in November. Who's helped them over this past year? Was it Republicans or was it Democrats? Or was it neither?
Of course they are. And I'll tell you, just on a positive, because I'm a positive guy. I've been really impressed with Jack Mormon. Jack Mormon on the local level, our Republicans some of them are really, really good. I imagine there's some there are some that are bad too, but there's some that are really good.
We got rid of some of those in the primary, right?
Yeah, some of the extremely corrupt judges, and there's a lot of that going on. We got rid of that, and we're still working. I know we've got, and I'm just going to say, we got a drunk chairman on behalf of the Harris County Republican Party that we got to deal with, but that's not either here or there now. Now what we got to do.
Drunk on liquor or drunk on power?
I think it's both.
Probably both.
It's both. He barely won. It cost $400,000 for him to win that race. Whenever I think his challenger spent maybe $5,000.
Maybe $5,000.
Yeah. So I mean, if you look at the dynamics, it's interesting. But I kind of don't want to dwell on that. Let's go. I know we do have a lot of stuff going on because it's back to school, and we got a fantastic guest that we're going to talk to, Philip Paul Bryant.
Good morning. Good afternoon. Good afternoon. Thanks for having me on. It's an honor to be here with some good people. Mr. Eric Dick, congratulations on your broadcast, Mr. Chris Cremona. I think this is a well put together show. I think it's really great that you guys are on air giving people legal, I don't know if you're allowed to call it advice or legal direction, for lack of a better word. And so kudos to you guys for taking time out of your day. I know you guys have a million things to do, but thanks for doing this show. Your listeners will be very well pleased and very well educated as a result of that. And as you guys know, coming up on the 1-year anniversary of Harvey, you guys know that for the last year, some of the listeners don't know, but for the last 9 years, Eric Dick, along with other sponsors and underwriters, have made it possible in the Fifth Ward area to be able to give away upwards of 500 or 600 backpacks and school supplies each year. And this year alone, we're well surpassed that. We're almost at 900 backpacks.
900
school
backpacks.
supplies. And this is a direct result of charitable giving of Mr. Eric Dick, his other colleagues, some of the judges, Judge Sherry Dean, Judge Roy Moore.
Yeah, don't be shy, Phil. Don't be shy. Let everyone know who these people are to put this thing together.
Alicia York. There's a dozen or so judges who, and just for the record, I want to go on record of saying this. They're not going to get votes from 12-year-old African-American kids in Fifth Ward.
No.
So it's not a political thing. It's not something they do to try to boost their credentials. They do it because they care about others. They care about the kids. And they understand that they're making an investment in the lives of young people. And a kid over in Fifth Ward or Cashmere area may very well be the next Mark Zuckerberg or the next Chris Brown or Michael Jackson or LeBron James, and so
they could have used somebody other than Chris Brown. I mean, we don't want any domestic violence. But you say that though, and if you listen,
meaning that they're talented. That's the route I was going with.
But if you listen to the names you repeated back in terms of the donations, in terms of the judges, a lot of those are family law judges in Harris County,
Absolutely.
Great family law judges, and I think for them, you hit it right on the dot. Is they don't do it for votes, they do it because they see the litigants day in and day out, every week, every year, coming through those courtrooms, and a lot of the times it's from families that are broken or not of high value or not, in terms of their financial capital, their financial assets, and they see the effect of not having the proper tools in the home available, whether it's a pencil or pen. We got to make sure we're equipping the kids properly, and that's what Philip Paul Bryan has been doing for the last 9 years at the Island of Hope Church with his back to school drive.
And it's just an amazing drive. We're going to
A local pastor is fed up, and he's challenging the Houston homeless feeding ordinance.
And the city requires you to get a permit if you are going to share food. He can't get a permit because he doesn't know where he's going to share food.
Philip Paul Bryan regularly keeps cans of tuna and water bottles in his car to hand out to homeless people. But under the current city ordinance, he's breaking the law. His attorney says Bryan does this because his faith teaches him to help the less fortunate.
This law that's in place, it's a mean-spirited law. It's against, charity. It's against kindness. It's against doing the right thing.
Eric Dick says they plan to fight this till the mayor and city officials overturn what some believe is a misguided ordinance.
Hi, this is Eric Dick, and I think it is important that you know your rights. If your homeowner's insurance company has denied or underpaid your claim, you have the right to hire an attorney. You have the right to call me for a free consultation at 833-7-RIGHTS. That's 833-7-RIGHTS. Don't let your homeowner's insurance company take advantage of you. Call me today at 833-7-RIGHTS.
Has your homeowner's insurance claim been denied or underpaid? Call Dick Law Firm at 833-7-RIGHTS.
take a break, guys. Thank you so much. This is Eric Dick, and we got Philip Paul Bryan as a guest, and we'll see you shortly. Thank you guys so much.
First of all, I want to
Good
say
job, Philip. Good job, Dick.
Good job.
of the Michael Berry Show and our entire station.
No, I'm not new to this. I'm true to this.
You what? Oh, that's a good transition, man.
We're going to have y'all turn on your mics so we don't have any chatter if we're not ready yet. Do you know what I mean? So you see your on button right there?
Yes.
So whenever you're ready to go, hit it on.
So right here?
Yeah, we coming back from the break?
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So yours is right over there. There you go. And then yours is right over there. On. There we go. Perfect.
Okay, so it's off right now.
It's off right now. So whenever you're ready to go. Cool. Okay.
How's it sounding?
Sounds great. Sounds really good. Yeah. Have you done radio before?
I played with it when my brother's on air personality. And
Oh, cool. All right.
so I played with him sometimes. I used to. I haven't done it in probably 10 years.
Comes back. Absolutely. Sounds great, guys.
It's free. 877-717-PTSD. You've got lots of
So if my brother's listening,
yard equipment, ATVs, motorcycles,
constructive feedback
you name it, and they all use fuel.
later on, not right now.
These same fuels that make your engine run also create deposits that reduce
Oh.
performance and gas mileage. Come out, multi-system tune removes these gummy carbon deposits and stabilizes
So we're about, all
fuel.
right, we're at the halfway mark. So Philip, we're going to come back out the break.
Get a car today at just $647.
We can transition back out over the, after he's done with this segment, transition back over to Harvey. Now,
Yeah.
this time,
I got you.
I'd like to also talk to, like, he brushed in some really great judges I'd like to talk about. I think Sherry Dean, she really is tough. Sherry's really good. I'd like to talk about Sherry. Sherry's really just, I mean, to be fair, if more Republicans did that, it wouldn't be a sweet county.
Yeah, because Dean and Moore have been doing it from the beginning, right? Or almost from the beginning. Since they've been on
No,
the-
actually, first year.
Yeah.
Eric,
2010.
Judge Sheridan, and Judge Moore.
713-489.
Actually, Chris Daniels, but he comes in and out sometimes.
489.
Oh, CD?
What's at stake?
Let me take my face off the camera.
Think about it.
He tries.
The experts call the
Oh,
We can also talk about, I don't think we need to talk about the department. We can, but I don't think it's necessary. I don't think it's necessary.
Oh, but we can talk about the bond vote today.
That's really important.
Transition.
The bond vote's really important.
Yeah, because that's happening right now. And it ends at what, 7? So you heard this say right when they gave us the countdown, when we're going back in. When you hear the music start playing back in, it's breaking in.
And we gotta push the button.
Hit the on button. We go back on. Like,
I got it.
or more.
I don't know if it's coming back in a while ago. We're like, are they going to say, and we're back?
During the off season,
So
approximately
we'll say that. We can lead in with, and we're back.
Mhm.
protesting police violence or whatever the hell it is.
Make sure you put the show's name, like you're saying, Harry Dick Show.
Yeah.
So that way, if they're not listening on air, they're
We
listening.
can take some callers too.
Yeah.
I'll take some callers. Maybe we'll do another segment and take. Well, maybe we'll do half a
Hey,
segment and take
go
callers.
ahead. We'll go back to other than backpacks, yeah, all the list of what they have there. You know, tell the kids they can bring their school supply list and go shopping. Yeah. So make sure you tell them, other than backpacks, they everything else they have. Tell the kids to bring their paper and their little list, and they can mark it off and pick up their supplies. And then I tell everybody how I just spent so much money, I'm gonna go return it and then go back.
How much you raise so much money on?
Spent like $150 on school supplies. I'm about to go get lift my receipts.
That's funny. You know, he never brings the girls.
KPRC on iHeartRadio.
And we're back for more. Eric Dick at my show, talking about Hurricane Harvey, talking about going back to school, and we have a special guest, Philip Paul Bryant, who does every year Backpack to Fifth Ward with some of the most amazing people that help him.
Oh, absolutely.
Well, did we announce that he was world-renowned author, Philip Paul
Nah,
Bryant?
y'all forgot to announce
Yeah,
that.
we forgot that
Y'all
part.
forgot to announce that.
Philip Paul, what's the book you have? What's your latest book you have out right
It's
now?
called Death of a Community, How the Church, the Police, and Facebook Are Shaping Our Future. I'm actually working on another piece. I hope to get it released by mid-December. And it's going to be talking about hurricane preparedness, things you can do, actually national disaster preparedness. So things to do in the case of a hurricane, tornadoes, terrorist attack, school active shootings. And so I'm actually going to be working with Attorney Eric Dick on that book. And so we hope to have that out because it's not about just trying to get it out right before hurricane season. So we want to make sure we have everything in there because on a regular basis, we need to make sure that we're prepared and we're preemptive on protecting our homes and our families. And so I'm really excited about that. One other thing I want to make mention of is tomorrow, we mentioned the back to school, the 9th annual. It's going to be tomorrow at 12 noon. It's going to be at the Island of Hope Church. That's 1505 Gregg Street. And that's in Houston, Texas. Right there on the corner of Lyons in Gregg. And you go over about one other block and you'll see the big dome church, the Island of Hope Church, Bishop Bryant, the whole team there. And you'll see some judges, unlike where you usually will see them in a robe, in the court, super official. You know, Judge Moore comes there in his shorts. Judge Dean comes there with her grandkids, and Mr. Lance, her husband, volunteers. We still need volunteers, but a lot of times people from their actual court coordinators and stuff like that actually come to the event and volunteer. They don't get paid for this. No one gets paid for it. But it's an investment in the kids and an investment in the community. And also we have some pretty good entertainment because the goal is to not just give the kids the backpacks because, you know, you can just form a line in the park somewhere and hand out backpacks. But the goal is to bring elected officials, people who may be considered role models in our communities, and have them all saying to the kids, it's important to stay in school, it's important to get good grades, and we're here, we got your back. So we have a talented, we'll have step teams there, we'll have karate teams performing.
And you got manicures and
manicures and free haircuts because we want to encourage the kids to no excuses, right? Everyone's on your side. You got everything you need. We're going to make sure you look good. And so super excited about it. This is year 9. So Eric Dick is officially has hood credentials.
He has tenure in the hood now.
He has a hood pass. I come to the 5th Ward.
I get my pass to 5th Ward because I got their back and I got their backpack. Yeah, I want to talk
because the brand that was good.
I do like branding. You have to admit that. But Sherry Dean, I've been so impressed with everything she's done with the backpack to 5th Ward. She has put in a lot of effort on this. In fact, she called me and no, she didn't call me. She messaged me, Eric, you better donate this time. Yes, Judge, I'm donating. Yes, Judge. She really takes this personal, and it's kind of amazing seeing her there because she knows the kids. She goes and checks with them every year, make sure they're doing good. And it's really, I'm going to have to say that Sherry Dean is one of the role models, at least in the Republican Party. She should be, because if more people were acting how she acts, and she's doing it in all sincerity, there's nothing but sincerity. But if more Republicans actually cared on the local level, maybe it wouldn't be a swing district. That's just my humble opinion.
When you go into her courtroom, she, her biggest thing is family matters. Just saying, and she lives that motto. She lives that mantra because everything she does in the courtroom and outside the courtroom is always to better the families and better the kids. And so,
and one other point about Judge Jean, she has a huge heart, and so some of you may not know this, but this past Sunday, her mom actually passed, and I know that her and her family was out in, I believe it was Lufkin this weekend, dealing with that. But when I tell you, in the middle of that family coming together and needing to take care of that, she was still calling and texting every day. She's not doing it for show. She really cares. There's no cameras out there these years. It's just out there doing what it takes to help the kids. And I did want to make mention of a couple other names that she gave me. Judge James Lambino.
Oh, Lamberdino.
Judge
Lamberdino.
Judge John Schmoody.
Schmoody, yes.
Judge Charlie Prime.
Oh, Charlie's a really good guy.
Judge Ron Moore, Judge Alicia York, and of course, Trustee Dick.
Yeah.
Yeah, Judge Bryan he's another really great guy. You mentioned a few of them. Judge Schmoody, John Schmoody, he's another. That was an interesting race, and I can talk all about that. Where you had an incumbent that just pushed this policy where if you didn't take a parenting class, you didn't get custody or even visitation. It was just insane, just bad. I mean, you don't want that person in any party. But I'm glad to see that you have that John Schmoody's involved. That of course Charlie Prine is one of the nicest people around. You got good people pushing this, which it's the right thing to do.
It's the right thing to do.
It is absolutely the right thing to do, and more people need to be trying to help others.
And I want one last thing. I want to make mention that last year was pretty special because obviously with Hurricane Harvey, we actually had to reschedule. As you remember, we actually had to reschedule the back to school event for the following weekend just because that weekend, the fourth Sunday, which would have been around the 27th of August of last year, people were stuck in their homes. People didn't have power. People didn't have proper communication. So we were forced to reschedule the back to school event. And we reached out to our sponsors, Eric Dick and Judge Dean, and we let them know, hey, you know what? I know this is a back to school giveaway, but we need to add some clothes and some food. And our sponsors last year stepped it up, and we were able to give out clothes, food, and other toiletries to the community. And so we're happy that this year we're not needed to give out additional clothes and food.
But you won't turn them away if somebody brings some clothes up there and they have a lot. I mean, because kids do a lot, especially in ISD. A lot of them need the uniforms.
Oh, absolutely. And still, people are still displaced a year later.
So with this in mind, Harvey going back to school today is also, and there's also some other stuff going on today. You got a bond proposal. Today's the last day. It's election day for to add some more debt, and
and there's a lot of confusion on this bond issue too because when first we had the county judge. Specifically say he wanted this special election because he didn't want to have to campaign for himself and the bond in November. So he asked the governor to set this in August. And the governor's response was, you already have the money coming and it's now, so I don't know why you really need this, but I'll go ahead and set it for you anyways. So when the governor says that, Eric, Phillip, do we need this $2.5 billion additional when the governor already says it's coming?
I don't. But
the thing that I like about it is, in all fairness to Judge Emmett and his team, I know Owens and a few other people down there, they've done a good job, in my opinion. And obviously, you have up until about 7 p.m. today to go vote. But in my opinion, they did a good job to try to spell out street corner by block by block exactly where those funds were going to be allocated towards. So whether or not areas or certain communities need those fundings or need that money, I can say that they were transparent in rolling out there exactly where those monies and where those dollars were going to go. So I appreciate that.
But the money's already, that money that is being, I won't say allocated, but needed for those areas, that's already coming from the state, right?
Well, if you've seen some of the devastation out there, and I know you have, Cremona,
yeah.
So it's a rhetorical question. So going out there and Kojic, we were donated a huge 60,000 square foot facility after Harvey, which Kojic Charities and Kojic Urban Initiatives were able to come in and set up a resource center where people can come get goods and other services. And we took it with Bishop Macklin and Bishop Blake and Bishop Bryant. We took a tour around certain areas. And if you were to see some of those areas and some of the devastation, and it wasn't just poor African American and Hispanic
everywhere.
It was everywhere. And if you were to see some of those areas, I guarantee you, from my perspective, you can't give enough money to one, to help those people be restored, and two, to try to prevent this from happening again.
And also you have everyone all along Barker Dam that flooded. And
absolutely.
It's just a big
and none of that
mess.
money touches that area as a project, though, right? So
that's the county. Maybe
yeah.
we'll talk more about that soon. Thank you guys for tuning in, and we're going to take another little break. I've got Phil Paul Bryant as a guest. This is Eric Dick, and Chris Carmona's playing Wingman. Thank you, guys.
Wingman, come on. Oh, Mr. Devil's Advocate over.
No, I was doing good. It was good content.
You Republicans, man, I tell you.
That was good
The
content.
Republicans are supporting us. What are you talking about?
It's just,
Well, some of the Republicans are.
yeah, some of them are. I'm not necessarily, but it's just
The enemy Republicans.
it's just good. It's good talk. It's good stuff to talk about. It's good fodder. I do think that if Ed Emmett, if the city did more like how Ed Emmett was like, this is where the money's going, all that, they would have less blowback. With
Yeah,
I think he did.
that was smart on campaign wise to build it out, but yeah, but that's the thing. When Abbott says you don't really need the money because it's coming, you have it around, it should be there by August. But go ahead, let's put it on the ballot.
Yeah. Jack Morgan was there saying, "Do we really need to do this?"
Yeah,
you have to give fighting Jack. He's not been doing bad.
Property damage from Hurricane Harvey is devastating. That pain has been made worse by your insurance company underpaying or outright denying your claim, sometimes without even inspecting your home. I'm attorney Eric Dick, and it's my job to make insurance companies accountable. If you feel you've been taken advantage of by a greedy insurance company, call me today at 833-3HARVEY, 833-3HARVEY. That's 833-3HARVEY. Call me right now.
Breaking the law, one meal at a time, feeding the homeless.
It is morally wrong to make it a crime to give food.
A Houston man who feeds the homeless because of his faith is suing the city, challenging the established charitable feeding ban. The often debated ordinance has banned sharing food in public groups of more than 5 people without city permission since 2012.
The city says you can give food to 5 people, not 6. What are you supposed to tell the 6th person? I met my quota today?
The city wants to dismiss Philip Paul Bryant's lawsuit.
That's a crime? What does this world come to? It's a sad day whenever trying to prevent a fellow human from starving is a crime.
The city says the ordinance aims to curb trespassing and littering, both of which were already prohibited in the municipal code prior to the passing of the ordinance. While some Houstonians are in support of the lawsuit,
I really hope he wins his case, and I really hope they lift those sanctions so we can be able to give more to the needy.
So if you're willing to help more than 5 homeless people, you should be able to do that.
Some even challenge the city's support of their citizens.
The city isn't going to take care of their homeless people. That's their people. Somebody got to take care of them. So why can't we take care of them?
A question Houstonians will continue to ask as long as the ban remains.
Feeding Rocks. It should not be a crime to feed the homeless. Feeding Rocks. A good Samaritan shouldn't be punished for acts of kindness. Feeding Rocks. Because it's more of a crime to turn your back on a starving person. Feeding Rocks. You shouldn't go to jail for sharing food. Feeding Rocks. You can't in good conscience let a hungry person starve. Feeding Rocks. Help us legalize charity. Go online and sign the petition. www.feeding.rocks. Feeding Rocks.
I've been really impressed with how Jack's been campaigning.
He's finally, yeah. I mean, I won't say he's been quiet. He just does his job. He doesn't ever do any hoorah and all that over the last 4 years.
He's just in the community. That's all he is.
He does his job.
Unless you're in the community, you
And
don't
then,
see
but even 4 years ago, he didn't campaign. I don't think he had a phone 4 years ago.
Out there who donate.
No, but this his campaign is it's pretty strong, man.
That's a solid campaign. He's in the community. You think
volunteer. I want to thank so many of you who just raised awareness. So
Does a great
You don't
job.
see much from Adrian.
PTSD have a place to go.
Adrian's a career politician that's just gone from spot to spot to spot. The Democrats don't even like Adrian.
717-717-7873.
Shot a lot of his political capital on the mayor's race, and then back after that going against Jimmy Green.
Now let our other veterans serve you.
One after the other. So
there is an answer. Call Camp Hope. It's
Dylan.
877-717-PTSD.
How you doing out there, man? You doing good?
The intro's great.
Oh, the intro?
Yeah, the intro's hysterical. It's great. The intro's horrible.
Sarah Barrett.
So much information there.
Dylan Glass.
And want to talk with somebody.
You have any questions? Hey, we need some, when we come back in, get the calling number.
Yeah,
if anybody has any questions about Harvey issues or the back to school event, have them call in, and then we'll see if we can get some patches. How y'all doing over here? I haven't checked on y'all in a while.
You guys doing good? You guys doing good?
Most of the employees, including the owner, are former military themselves. Best place to get training, practice,
Can't
license
see.
to carry, and a great rental fleet. So you can shoot their guns, go and rent them there. 713-779-GUNS, TopGunRange.com.
You've got lots of engines in your life.
When,
Cars, yard equipment, ATVs, motorcycles, watercraft, you name it. And they all use fuel and oil. These same fluids that make your engine run also create deposits that reduce performance and gas mileage. Gun out multi-system tune-up removes these gummy carbon deposits and stabilizes fuel and oil, helping restore performance and fuel economy. Get a can today.
Philip, we're talking about your book. I was actually going to spin that over to Philip Paul Books Library. Where can they buy this book? Philip speaks of.
That's right.
Oh, you can't get there by bus? You need to buy a new car?
Philip Paul Bryant's cars.
Used cars. You can't wake up in the morning. You need some coffee. Go to Phil Paul's Coffee House.
That's right. 30 seconds. All right. Okay.
Yeah.
15 minutes could save you 15% or more. From around town.
The city of Houston to overcome our obstacles and our hurdles.
That's funny though.
The world is talking about it.
Know your
Remember to hit your on button going back in.
Ride home with Joe Bags. Lots going on, lots more to get to. Monday evening at 6 on KPRC 950.
Here we go.
And we're back. Eric Dick back with special guest Philip Paul Bryant is back to school, 9th annual backpack to 5th Ward.
Making a difference.
You know what really impressed me about Philip Paul Bryant is that he actually does good for the community. I mean, he has two first names, Philip Paul. You know they always said that those two first name guys, you gotta watch out for them. But
technically, I got 3 first names: Philip Paul Bryant.
That's true.
And 3 last names.
Man, I thought we'd see you on the news for other items, but man, good seeing him doing some good for the community.
Philip's done a lot of good for the community for a lot of things. But anyway, maybe we'll take some phone calls. Maybe if anyone decides they want to call in.
Yeah, if you have any questions about the back to school drive coming up tomorrow at the Ivanhoe Hope Church, or maybe any Harvey related questions about insurance claims, the process, feel free to give us a call. That number is
713-212-5950. That's 713-212-5950. Anyway, so we were talking about Harvey. Maybe we'll go back, kind of talk a little bit more about Harvey, the bond election. I know it's the elections today. So what I found like good, I mean, I almost always vote no if it involves a bond election or any type of tax increase. It's hard for me to vote yes for that. But having said all that, so you could probably figure out where I'm going to vote. But having said all that, what I am really impressed with is how Ed Emmett kind of positioned this. Not that he kind of weaseled into avoiding the general election. I'm not very impressed with that, but I am impressed with how he explained basically what they needed, where the money's going to be spent. And I think that level of transparency, kudos to you, Ed Emmett. Kudos to, the team that's campaigning on that. I am also impressed that Jack Mormon, he stood up. He's like, do we really need to be doing this? And I have to say, I know it's a hot race, but Jack Mormon has been doing just such a killer job in his campaign. I've been nothing but impressed with that guy. And he won just out of a complete fluke. He's another great example of like how Republicans should kind of campaign, how their positions should be, because he just cares about his community. He really does. And
that's where you see the success in Harris County, and especially a lot of urban areas around the country. It's when you truly care about the community and where you live, and you're making that voter contact and not considering voters but actual people in your district. That's where you're seeing the success in these candidates and people like Jack Mormon. I mean, doing it right and knocking it out the park.
Yeah, and Jack, it's like he won. It was just a complete fluke because Sylvia Garcia had like $2 million, $3 million she was just sitting on. She thought she was going to walk with the race, and Jack had like 2 pennies to his name. His campaign was pretty much bubblegum and shoestrings. The guy, he's just struggling to get. It'd be like just some guy just decided they're going to run for office. They run and they end up winning, and they're kind of. I'm sure he was taken back, blown away. No one expected Jack Mormon to win.
It's almost like Helena Brown in 2011.
It's actually it is similar to that, but it was more mind blowing because it was such a large spot. And you had fighting Jack Mormon just go in there. He's been doing a good job since. I'm really impressed with him. I really am. And there's not a whole lot of people I am impressed with, but I'm really, really impressed with Jack Mormon.
Speaking of being impressed, again, tomorrow, the 9th annual Island of Hope Backpack to 5th Ward back to school drive. Philip Paul Bryan has been doing that impressively for the last 9 years, and having the big support from Eric Dick and Judge Sherry Dean and Judge Warren Moore, and then now a host of other judges have jumped into the fray, family law judges, and it's going to be a huge event tomorrow, so make sure y'all come by and check that out. That's from 12 to
2:30.
12 to 2:30. Now, other than the backpacks, what else are you going to have there, Philip?
We're going to have school supplies, man. We're going to have everything that they need as far as starting school, and I know some kids have already started school. I believe HISD starts on Monday. And so and I encourage parents, if you don't have any kids or the kids are grown, come on out, volunteer, because you can make a difference just by encouraging a kid to stay in school, get good grades, and just let them see some positive role models. You're familiar with the area. 5th Ward, there's a lot of questionable stuff going on around there. So to see some positive influences, we got a liquor store about 3 blocks away where every day when kids walk home from school, they'll see behind a liquor store just a crowd of people just drinking and hanging out. And so to push on them some positiveness, some you can do it. It'll go a long way. So you never know exactly what's going on in the home. And so just to be that unbiased voice of saying, hey, you can do this. I think you're going to be great. What do you think about being a doctor? What do you think about being an attorney? What do you think about running for office one day? Hey, you can be an astronaut or run for president. So just to have different voices, encourage kids. So come out, volunteer. If you think your kids already have everything they need, then bring them out anyway and let them rub off some of their good home training off on some kids who may not be as fortunate. So 1505 Greg Street, that's tomorrow at 12 o'clock sharp. We're going to have drill teams there. We're going to have praise dancers, karate performances.
It's going to be one big party, huh?
It's going to be a back-to-school party.
And again, kids, parents, bring those school lists with you. You can go and do your shopping there if you haven't done so already.
Absolutely.
I know I spent about $150 on my 2 girls this past week. I may go take that back to Walmart or Target and do my shopping at Island of Hope tomorrow. If there's some supplies left for the people who really need.
They may take your Republican
hey, you said you had plenty.
Okay, guys. Okay. So we got kudos to you, Philip. You're doing a great job with Island of Hope. You got great people backing you on that. And let's just. I guess we're gonna finish up the show. Maybe.
Yeah. If you have any questions, again, call in. The number again is
713-212-5950. Then feel free to call in, but let's kind of maybe transition this a little bit. The show is going to be on weekly. The next 2 weeks we're not going to be on because of U of H football, but we're getting our sea legs. We're coming back. We're going to have a lot of other great, local guests. I'm going to be the host. I'm hoping I'm going to be the host unless someone comes and takes my name from me, which, who knows what's going to happen.
You never know.
Never know.
Some dick trying to take your name.
Yeah, no, everyone tries. Everyone does different things for different reasons. Okay, so anyway, so back to maybe let's talk about Harvey a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, and we can't talk about that enough, especially this weekend. Again, it's the 1-year anniversary. That's why we really want to make sure that we also highlighted, Philip Paul's back to school drive, because again, the devastation it put on a lot of families and the lasting effect it's had. It's not just the school supplies and the clothing, and there's still a lot of assistance needed with Harvey related items and issues. And again, if you have those questions and you need help and some guidance, it's not too late. Eric Dick's always willing to offer the assistance where it's needed.
And you can follow me on Twitter at Dick Law Firm. There's a lot of claims from Hurricane Harvey. Hurricane Harvey caused a lot of damage, and it's going to be a long time before everything's resolved. I know a lot of people are still fighting with their homeowners insurance companies over storm damage. A lot of people are fighting over TWIA. And that's just a show in itself with all the problems that TWIA's face and whether or not we should even have TWIA or whether even TWIA is worth the money people pay.
And if we want to get rid of entities like TWIA or the policies like TWIA, then make sure you're holding those who make these laws accountable, right?
We should make sure we're holding those people accountable. People run for office, and it's all what I've found is being involved in politics, being elected, being an attorney, is all this stuff is tied together. Politics, law, policy, government, it's all tied together. And if you're just trying to, do the right thing, try to make a living, trying to, help people, it gets hard. And, it's easy to go down the path of being negative and being upset at the situation, but it's really hard to actually do something that's meaningful, that actually is worthwhile and actually get paid for it. So, I'm always impressed with people like Philip Paul Bryan that go out, and he just does a lot of different things. And I've always been impressed with what you do, Philip. I'm impressed with the Kojic PAC, which is it's a great organization that you're the chairman for.
Can we get you to put some of the stuff in writing, please?
Absolutely. But you've done really great. And but my point is this, that it's so easy to go down the path of just being negative and, oh no, everyone else, caused this. So thank you.
And it's good to have people like that in the community. And, if you're always getting pushed around, you got to make sure you have somebody in your corner that's a little bit stronger, a little bit tougher than the other guy. And that's Eric Dick.
Thank you guys so much for tuning in. You can follow me on Twitter at Dick Law Firm. You guys have a great day, and I'll see you in a couple weeks. Thanks, guys. You have a great one. Property damage from Hurricane Harvey is devastating. That pain has been made worse by your insurance company underpaying or outright denying your claim, sometimes without even inspecting your home. I'm attorney Eric Dick, and it's my job to make insurance companies accountable. If you feel you've been taken advantage of by a greedy insurance company, call me today at 833-3HARVEY, 833-3HARVEY. That's 833-3HARVEY. Call me right now.
Feeding Rocks. It should not be a crime to feed the homeless. Feeding Rocks. A good Samaritan shouldn't be punished for acts of kindness. Feeding Rocks. Because it's more of a crime to turn your back on a starving person. Feeding Rocks. You shouldn't go to jail for sharing food. Feeding Rocks. You can't in good conscience let a hungry person starve. Feeding Rocks. Help us legalize charity. Go online and sign the petition. www.feeding.rocks. Feeding Rocks.
Breaking the law, one meal at a time, feeding the homeless.
It is morally wrong to make it a crime to give food.
A Houston man who feeds the homeless because of his faith is suing the city, challenging the established charitable feeding ban. The often debated ordinance has banned sharing food in public groups of more than 5 people without city permission since 2012.
The city says you can give food to 5 people, not 6. What are you supposed to tell the 6th person? I met my quota today?
The city wants to dismiss Philip Paul Bryant's lawsuit.
That's a crime? What does this world come to? It's a sad day whenever trying to prevent a fellow human from starving is a crime.
The city says the ordinance aims to curb trespassing and littering, both of which were already prohibited in the municipal code prior to the passing of the ordinance. While some Houstonians are in support of the lawsuit,
I really hope he wins his case, and I really hope they lift those sanctions so we can be able to give more to the needy.
So if you're willing to help more than 5 homeless people, you should be able to do that.
some even challenge the city's support of their citizens.
The city isn't going to take care of their homeless people. That's their people. Somebody got to take care of them. So why can't we take care of them?
A question Houstonians will continue to ask as long as the ban remains.
Listen now by going to FoxNewsPodcasts.com. Tucker Carlson.
So much barking and noise and yelling. Our role is to take 3 steps back and discern what really matters. Sean Hannity. The most important thing that we are looking out for the forgotten men and women in this country. Laura Ingram. They're going to get straight.
If y'all can't sit here all day online, make sure y'all go onto the iHeartRadio media app, KPRC 950, or just tune into your radio, 950 AM. A lot of good stuff today. A lot of good stuff. But it's only 30 minutes, so make sure y'all tune in. If you're going to get some calls in, 713-212-5950.
Finally forbidding insurers from discriminating against or denying coverage to Americans with pre-existing conditions. The GOP spent 8 years presenting to repeal the law, even forcing a government shutdown.
Hey, Karen. Hey, little Tim.
A California college ready to shell out hundreds of millions of dollars to settle lawsuits.
The University of Southern California says it'll pay out $215 million to settle claims of sexual abuse by a school gynecologist. That settlement would compensate individuals.
And as always, today's segment brought to you by Bragg's Organic Apple Cider Vinegar, all natural drink. And we got the right one today, apple cinnamon. Dick, where's your Topo Chico?
I got a little Topo Chico right here.
You got it? Let's make sure you got it. Got it?
I got a Topo Chico.
David, what are you drinking, man?
Starbucks.
Ah, come on, man.
It's a Frappuccino.
Yeah.
He's got the Frappuccino. He's frapping it. Oh, man. What a rush. Sorry, Shannon. We were rushing.
Shannon, you get a car. We did get me a badge.
Yeah. Barely did it. Okay.
About 37,000 members of the 2nd Marine Expeditionary Force are believed to have
Hey, y'all.
as Hurricane Florence closed in last month.
Oh, it's going to be a juicy show. It's going to be a short show, but it's going to be juicy.
30 minutes, huh?
Yeah.
So we have one break around 14 to 18 again. Yeah. 27, 26 bars on.
So we're going to go into, what do you want to talk about?
Oh, first let's start about, there's a new suit. Well, first let's talk attack him again.
And I'm Joe.
Attack him.
Oh, yeah, I could do it.
Attack him. And then we'll talk about the suit against the city for the
largest gun show in the country. Is over
the drag queen show.
Yeah, they got to watch out. They might get in trouble on that. For anti-slap, how are you going to get around anti-slap with that?
Good afternoon. Watch out for an accident on the North Freeway northbound and the North Loop. This has 2 left lanes blocked.
I haven't seen the pleadings.
Some good news, that accident we had on the North Freeway southbound equipment has been cleared. Traffic is unwinding in that area, adding about 30 minutes to your commute. I'm US Garcia, the 24-hour traffic center.
Okay, cool.
Scanned pizzas now for a limited time.
And then we'll
talk about Sylvia some more.
Yeah, we do need to talk about Sylvia. We got the rest of the affidavit, and we can talk about the Chronicle's hypocrisy because they endorsed her after being one of the lead publications on this Me Too and Kavanaugh stuff.
Go to Danny and his friends.
Take a break from
After the first break, we're going down.
After the first break, we're going to you with the about immigration law and how it ties in and stuff
right
like that.
here on KPRC.
We'll make it fit.
Opinions provided on the Eric Dick Show are for information.
See, they've never heard the intro on Facebook streaming.
All right, folks, we're back to a spicy show here today. It's going to be Fast and Furious Eric Dick Show with my co-host and wingman, Chris Carmona. And
hello, good weekend, everyone.
It is going to be a great show. Okay, we had a lot happen this week. We had, Touchy Sylvia. We got the rest of her affidavit where, she's talking about some rash she has, and she has a clerk, which she's a municipal judge, and she, starts telling the clerk, hey, I got this rash on my leg. You want to see it? And the clerk's like, well, no, not really, Sylvia. I don't know that many people want to see it, but no, I'm good.
And she was good. And that's the thing. I mean, when we left off last week, we had limited information on this affidavit, but we have procured the remainder of the affidavit, and it just gets even worse. I mean, there was trips to Nashville where she was just taking advantage of her allegedly aggressively inside this hotel room. And, this is a legal talk show, and we talk about legal standards and how that impacts the community. Well, I remember a couple of weeks ago, the Houston Chronicle made it a point to make sure that our Supreme Court of the United States candidate, now Justice Kavanaugh, was put through this ringer and even made a point to publish different opinions and editorials where it said that, if you're accused of these things, you're not fit for these types of positions. So with Sylvia being accused of these types of allegations, it's surprising that they came out and endorsed her this week. What's going on?
Well, to quote Erica Grinder from the Houston Chronicle, it's dead and irrelevant and no one cares. And that's actually from a reporter. So what's interesting with the whole Kavanaugh thing is you had a woman, and she was sincere. I know there's people that have different opinions, but she seems sincere that something happened to her. Maybe we aren't sure what happened, but something happened, and she seems sincere about it. Just as the level of sincerity in that affidavit. And they go into a lot of detail.
And it's pretty detailed. I mean, these aren't things that have been sitting on and no one's come forward. Apparently, Ms. Gutierrez had actually made these complaints before, but it fell on deaf ears. And that's the problem I see with the city of Houston, is that they pick and choose who they actually want to move forward with these types of allegations. And I think that's something that falls back into the city council and also the mayor, because we have to stop that culture of siding with some, whether it's political or not, or it's just friendships. If these allegations are being thrown out there, you got to act on those. I mean, if not, you open yourself to all types of liability in the employment field, right?
Yeah, you're right. And didn't if I remember right, reading that affidavit, didn't one of her staffers kind of walk in and go, whoa, I don't want to see this, turn around beeline right out,
open the door, unlocked it, and said, whoa, made a U-turn and got back out of there. I mean, so there's been witnesses to these allegations or to these events, and I'm just shocked and appalled that for the Houston Chronicle to come out and say, we're going to lead the movement and making sure that people have a voice and people who have these allegations, they're going to be heard, to come out with no hesitation and endorse against Philip Arnoff in the congressional race in CD29 over in the east side of Harris County.
Or they could have just done no endorsement. They could have just done, they could have said, well, look, we're going to be the bigger person. These allegations with Sylvia, they're pretty sincere. And just so the listeners know, this is, the former county commissioner, former state senator Sylvia Garcia, what she did is she took off her, allegedly, which is probably not very alleged, but anyway, she took off her pants, said, hey, you know, I got a rash to one of her clerks, you know, ran around in her panties. Another one of her staffers kind of came in and kind of was freaked out and beelined out of there and just completely harassed this poor girl. I mean, if I did this type of stuff at my business or even at the Department of Education, it'd be all over the news.
Oh, it would be. It would be lawsuits left and right. All of the news, every single media publication in the city would be covering that. And again, I'm just shocked at that. And, you know, I hope that, you know, people put politics aside because, again, this has a lot more weight in this story with specific details than we saw with Kavanaugh. And I hope the Democrats actually hold Sylvia Garcia accountable. And there may be some infighting that results from this with early voting starting on Monday. And so we'll just have to see on that. But with infighting also comes another person we need to talk about. The turmoil hasn't stopped with our county judge.
Oh, hunker down?
Hunker down. You know, last week he had came out and endorsed the Democrat candidate for lieutenant governor, and there was some minor backlash from some of the candidates down ballot in Harris County, the Republican candidates. And there hasn't been any backtrack. If anything, it's been a double down on the statement of saying, I said what I said and I meant what I said. You know, how's that going to affect everybody? How's that going to affect the courthouses? Because, you know, in 2008, we saw a huge wipeout. 2012, we saw it again, a wipeout. 16, another one, sweep every 4 years.
Ed Emmett is just kind of the reaction. It's really the fault of the local party, the complete mismanagement by the local Harris County Republican Party, and the arrogance of Ted Cruz. And you got to realize that Beto is the result of just utter arrogance of Ted Cruz being just elected, runs for president, just ignores everybody. I mean, Beto, he's done a decent job. He's not going to win. I don't think he's going to win. I think it'd be surprising if it'd be a shocker that stranger things have happened. But Beto wouldn't have nearly as much following if Ted Cruz would have done his job. And also been a nice guy. And everyone tells me in the Republican Party that's around him. I mean, some people do like him, and they jump up and down and say, we like him. But there's a surprising amount of people that say he's a jerk. I don't want to be around him.
He's not connected to the people he was when he campaigned first in 2012. He's kind of separated himself in more of an elitist attitude is what I hear. And then I also heard last night that there was a Kingwood Tea Party gathering, candidate rally, and apparently that was the buzz around the room. Is anybody going to hold Ed Emmett accountable for this statement? And is that going to really hurt the down ballot judges? I think it will. I think it'll
hurt the judges, but you got to also remember that Lloyd Oliver, he did something similar. Actually, a step back, maybe 4 years ago, whenever he ran for DA, the Democrats just kicked him right off the ballot.
Yeah, and there's been some great articles about that by Charles Blaine and also Kerry Cheshire. They made some mention on this, and they were asking people, hey, what's going to happen here?
Oh, nothing's going to happen because Emmett's tied in with the local party that's incompetent.
Yeah, it is. And more to come on the Eric Dix Show. A shortened segment today. We only have half an hour. We got to get to y'all some sports programming. But y'all sit right there, and we'll be right back.
Thanks, folks. See you shortly. We'll come in, go in with you for going with 10, 12, then we'll be done.
Yeah. So what do you feel comfortable talking about? Like what area are you just be like, man, I know this, I'm dynamic on this, and boom.
Just anything immigration is good. We do all types of immigration. We do business, we do family, we do removal. So anything that you want to talk about in terms of any new changes, like right now there's an instant denial that just started in September.
Okay.
So that means that if you send a petition, it's wrong, something wrong with it, not all there, so just deny it. And this is bad. Used to, they just refuse it. But denying a petition is actually
right up here.
bad.
Okay. Then we can talk about this caravan that's coming up and Trump's statement. There's some tough people, and we don't want those tough people coming in. And we can see about they're coming from Guatemala and Honduras. They're trying to go through Mexico. Mexico's actually trying they're trying to do their job and secure the border. So we don't want you coming in and filter in. They tore it down and. I'll tie into immigration, and then immigration right there. That's how we do it.
I think smoking always affected my daily life because I was a closet smoker.
Roseanne, exactly. Someone like the county chair should have said something, but he didn't. Really, the guy pays them all. I mean, that's Emmett's his major funder.
There's no
him and this guy Weekly, they own him. So what is he gonna say? No, don't do it. But like I said, it's gonna be very, very, very.
We got a good many followers now.
not want to break straight ticket voting because of his insistence on doing that. So we'll see how it turns out. But early voting starts on Monday. Make sure I go by, vote all the way through from the top to the bottom. A lot of judges on that ballot that really need your support. It's not a smart idea just to always hit straight ticket if you don't feel comfortable with all the candidates. Beto, fake Mexican. Is he really a fake Mexican or just using the name to try to trick people? What kind of fires was he putting out? Like what was being said to try to mitigate that damage? I mean, could you really mitigate that? Unless maybe to show some poll numbers and be like, the current poll shows, you know, even with that statement, we're still up about 15%. Anything like that.
He speaks his mind.
How long Joe Bad. Feeding rocks. It should not be a crime to feed the homeless. Feeding rocks. A good Samaritan shouldn't be punished for acts of kindness. Feeding rocks. Because it's more of a crime to turn your back on a starving person. Feeding rocks. You shouldn't go to jail for sharing food. Feeding rocks. You can't in good conscience let a hungry person starve. Feeding rocks. Help us legalize charity. Go online and sign the petition. www.feeding.rocks. Feeding rocks.
Property damage from Hurricane Harvey is devastating. That pain has been made worse by your insurance company underpaying or outright denying your claim, sometimes without even inspecting your home. I'm attorney Eric Dick, and it's my job to make insurance companies accountable. If you feel you've been taken advantage of by a greedy insurance company, call me today at 833-3HARVEY, 833-3HARVEY. That's 833-3HARVEY. Call me right now.
KPRC on
Like
950.
9.2, but it took
Oh, here we are, folks. If you haven't pulled over and talked to your lawyer, you better do it because we're going to go into some law. And I don't want you guys crying to me because I gave you good advice and you hadn't paid me. So you better go talk to your lawyer before you listen anymore. Okay?
And if they're suffering from any type of home damage, car damage, life insurance issues where the insurance company is just not paying, so they call Dick.
Better get Dick.
Eric Dick.
Better get Eric Dick.
And so when we left off, I mean, again, there's just so much turmoil going on in this world. But one thing I do have to say is today is my daughter's 14th birthday. Happy birthday, Brooklyn.
My mother and sister's birthday.
I was about to say, you have a family of birthdays today, too.
And it's Mark Lanier's birthday.
And Mark Lanier's birthday. So October 20th, mark this down on your calendars, everybody. That's a strong day for birthdays to come out. But other than the birthdays, we have some other exciting news going on in the country, right?
Oh, we have a lot of exciting news, but why don't we start off talking with Danny about his little law practice doing immigration law, and we can kind of tie it into all the many things that are happening in this world.
So today's guest, we have attorney Danny Wynn. Danny, welcome to the show.
Oh, thank you for having us. This is David Wynn, by the way.
Oh, sorry, David Wynn. Oh,
I'm sorry. It's okay.
So I had it right the first time when I said David.
Yeah, you said it earlier this morning, so yeah, maybe it's too early for you.
Oh, I was thinking of there's a
city council member in Missouri City.
That's right, Danny Wynn. Sorry, David. So you have an immigration practice. You've been practicing law about 10 years, right?
That's right. We're practicing 10 years. We have an office in Southwest Houston and one in Northwest Houston as well.
Excellent. And so there's been some changes lately. And could you tell me about the changes in immigration law that's, some of the listeners might want to know about?
Yeah, so there's a lot of changes across immigration, across the board. So whether it's legal immigration or illegal immigration, there's changes across the board. Some of the major changes, instant denial. So starting in last month, in September, if you send in a petition or an application and there's anything that's wrong with it, immigration used to send you a request for more evidence, or they send you a notice of intent to deny and give you an opportunity to fix the problem. So now, no more. They can instantly deny your application. And again, This is not like a rejection. This is a denial. So it looks really, really bad if you're trying to reapply later on.
So what you're telling me is if someone is, wants to work on their status or, wants to bring someone over or marry someone or what have you, they probably should not do it by themselves. They're probably behooved to go actually get a lawyer to help them with their immigration status. Is that what you're telling me, David?
Exactly. I used to tell people, if you read the law very carefully, you could probably do this by yourself. But now so much things have changed. Like, I'll just give you an example. So the basic forms that you need to sponsor a spouse, it used to be last year before 2017, the I-130 form, it used to be 5 pages. Now it's 18 pages. And there's another form that supplements that. It used to be 4 or 5 pages. Now it's an additional 18 pages. And those are just 2 forms out of the many forms that you have to file in order to bring someone to the U.S.
Now, and this is things that probably an attorney is best equipped to handle. Is that correct? Is that a fair assessment?
That's right. And, it's not a person's fault, to be honest with you. A lot of things are wrong online, especially even on the government's website. They're wrong. And I could, probably usually what I do is I show clients, like, look, this is what you want to do. And I could tell you that it's wrong. If you do it this way, like they have it on the website, it's going to get rejected or denied.
Now, there's a lot of notaries that have popped up around this city, I know for sure, over the last few years to try to assist and expedite some of this immigration paperwork. What's your feelings on notaries? Are those really strong-minded people who understand the legal system and know how to navigate the channels?
And that's a good question, Chris. Well, I can tell you for sure, a lot of people in Mexico, there's public notarios are attorneys, but in the U.S., they're not attorneys. Public notarios are popping up, and let me tell you why you don't want to hire one. The public notarios would never put their name on any of your documents. So whenever there's a problem with your documents because they're giving you wrong advice, no one's accountable except for you. And you're not going to be able to blame someone that doesn't have their names on your forms.
Besides, they're charging a lot of cash too, aren't they?
They do, but besides this actually being illegal for a notary to practice law, and usually they'll charge at least, near what a lawyer would charge.
Sometimes more.
Sometimes more. So you're having someone, it's basically you're just going and picking someone off the side of the street and saying, hey, help me with my legal forms. I wouldn't do that. I wouldn't get, someone off the side of the street to represent me, which actually I do. Being an attorney, actually I do hire people to represent me, and anytime anything happens.
They say what a client has a fool. What is the saying?
Yeah,
only a fool has a client for himself. Or something.
That's right. So yeah, if you have problems with immigration, you probably should get a lawyer. Maybe you could have done it in the past, but it sounds like things have changed, and it probably behoove you to sit and talk to somebody that actually is licensed through the state bar and tell you what to do. What other problems do you see happening, Danny?
Okay, so the other problems that we see right now is if you're in removal proceedings. So before, if you're in removal proceedings, that means deportation proceedings, you would have probably a very fair trial with the immigration judge. It's not like that anymore. So right now, under Donald Trump, he said that immigration judges have a quota. They're obligated, or they should, try and end at least 700 cases per year. So what this means in reality is that every immigration judge under the quota has to finish a case within 2.5 hours. Think about this for a second. One party has to state the facts of the case, the witnesses have to be called up, the judge has to make a decision, all in the course of 2.5 hours. Some of these cases are asylum cases, meaning that they involve people that have been victims in their own countries. They're going to the U.S. in order to seek protection, and now you have to make a decision within 2.5 hours, whereas maybe a year ago, you would have maybe several years to put together a case. So that's what's happening right now is that.
But on the flip side of that, Danny, hasn't one of the biggest issues always been that the process takes too long? You have to get in line. It's a long line, takes years. But with this expediency of a 2-hour hearing, or doesn't that speed up the process? And doesn't that help people who are in the queue trying to get through the system properly?
So in the past, you're right. So in the past, asylum used to take years. Now it's not that way anymore. So earlier this year, they changed it. When you apply for asylum today, instead of taking years, you're going to get a notice for an interview within 3 to 5 months. That's very quick. Think about this. You have to show asylum is not easy to get. you're going to have to, usually the attorney will write a legal brief. You have to show evidence, so medical records. Imagine fleeing your country with nothing, and then you're going to have to try to get, copies of certified copies of your birth certificate, your, anything that you have in that situation, maybe judicial records. I mean, it's going to be very hard for anyone that's fleeing their country with no money.
Yeah.
And nonprofits nowadays don't have a budget in order to fix this issue. There's too many people.
It's definitely a broken system. It's something that we really have to make sure we're pressing our Congress members and our senators to put something in place that's actually going to be sustainable in the long term.
And it's not just the immigration system. I mean, it's the same way with our justice system. There's a lot of sad things that happen every day. I had a client one time in criminal law back when I first started practicing law, where she had some problems with welfare. She got too much welfare because she was broke. And the judge that she was in front of, who's now the administrative judge in Harris County, was Susan Brown. She was nice enough to, put my gal in jail, baby in hand. When I say baby in hand, I had to watch the baby while the grandmother came to pick her up.
It was training for you, Dick. It was training for you.
That's training. But we want to talk about injustice. There's a lot of injustice to go around, a lot of injustice in different spots. And it's been going on a long time, and I imagine there always will be injustice.
Yeah, real quick, David. There's a huge caravan coming through Central America right now, going through Mexico, trying to get to the United States. Will they make it? And if so, are they going to be turned back around under this new policy and provisions? What happens to them?
Right now, it's harder for people trying to enter the U.S. to get asylum or refugee status. So I think it's going to be an uphill battle for them to try to make it into the U.S. And even if they do, it's going to be very hard for them to try to get any legal status in the U.S. So it's very hard. We're turning away people that are actually fleeing their country. Some of these people, yes, there's always people that will try to, go past the system that do not qualify. But you have to understand there's a huge vetting process to make sure that their alibi sticks. There's multiple interviews to make sure they have a credible fear.
But if you have a group of 1,000 people coming in one time and saying, we just got bombed in our neighborhood, shouldn't their stories all match, and wouldn't that be considered some type of evidence that could be used in the process?
So just like you mentioned earlier about the Kavanaugh hearing, when people experience trauma, they're gonna remember different things. And so when you have a child versus an adult, they're gonna see different things, and that's why it takes a lot of work in order to gather the story to make it make sense, because every person's story is going to be a little different based on their experience.
Well, I think it just goes to show that you're always probably doing right whenever you have legal problems to go and get an attorney. The system's always going to change under whether it's Trump, whether it was going to be somebody else. The system's going to change. Whether it's good or bad, it always remains to be seen. It's fascinating how government works and how consequences for actions happen. Plenty of times they're inadvertent. This could be a good thing. It could be a bad thing. Only time will tell. But what is important is while they're going through this process, if they're serious about it, they probably need legal help.
They do, and that's what we're here for, is to try to make sure we guide people to make sure they're getting legal help in any type of situation they're in. And David Wynn, thank you for your time today with talking about immigration. And if anybody needs to reach out to David, what's that phone number?
It's 281-777-1236.
All right, thank you, David.
Yeah, so is there anything else we need to go through in this fast and furious?
Absolutely. Again, anytime you're facing an insurance company, whether it's a car accident, a personal injury that happens, you slipped and fell, or you got flooded or hail damage, and the insurance company does not want to pay, you got to make sure you have someone on your side who's going to fight for you from the beginning to the end, and is going to take the insurance company to task.
What I found amazing is I've represented like thousands of people, and when I say thousands, like 2,000-3,000 people. And out of those thousands of people I've represented, I'd say 98-99% were underpaid on their claims. It's just kind of fascinating that so many insurance companies just underpay claims, and they pay big money to to government through lobbyist organizations like Texans for Lawsuit Reform to buy people off. But I guess that's never going to stop. You're always going to have stuff like that, and that's been going on since governments began. Is you have special interests.
And it has, and as long as there continues to be special interests protecting the insurance companies, it's important and critical that you have an attorney fighting on your side. And that's where homeowners insurance lawyer, attorney Eric Dick, comes in. And again, if you're getting in that legal situation, don't get mad. Get Dick.
Good to be back again, folks. I'll see y'all next weekend. Or I won't see y'all. I'll talk to you next weekend.
And make sure that we haven't always said this, but we got to send a huge shout out to our producer Shannon. See y'all next week.
Thanks, producer Shannon. Have a good one. Barely did that one. That was a rush.
Hey, send me some business cards. Maybe I'll get it out. I have a business card wall.
Hey guys, again, sorry for the short show today, but we'll be back on. We're good next week, right?
I'll put this all
I think
on.
we're good next week, but we'll let y'all know. Yeah, have a good one.
It's on Twitter. It'll be on Twitter later. Okay. Bye, folks. Thanks.
Have you suffered property damage and had your insurance claim denied?
This is Eric Dick. I think it's important that you know your rights. Hurricane Harvey may have been the most costly storm in history, and if your home was damaged and your insurance company did you wrong, well, you have the right to hire an attorney and sue them. You have the right to call me for a free consultation at 833-3HARVEY, 833-3HARVEY. Don't let your insurance company take advantage of you. Know your rights.
Call the Dick Law Firm now at 1-833-3HARVEY.
Feeding Rocks. It should not be a crime to feed the homeless. Feeding Rocks. A good Samaritan shouldn't be punished for acts of kindness. Feeding Rocks. Because it's more of a crime to turn your back on a starving person. Feeding Rocks. You shouldn't go to jail for sharing food. Feeding Rocks. You can't in good conscience let a hungry person starve. Feeding Rocks. Help us legalize charity. Go online and sign the petition. www.feeding.rocks. Feeding Rocks.
A local pastor is fed up, and he's challenging the Houston homeless feeding ordinance.
And the city requires you to get a permit if you are going to share food. He can't get a permit because he doesn't know where he's going to share food.
Philip Paul Bryan regularly keeps cans of tuna and water bottles in his car to hand out to homeless people. But under the current city ordinance, he's breaking the law. His attorney says Bryan does this because his faith teaches him to help the less fortunate.
This law that's in place, it's a mean-spirited law. It's against, charity. It's against kindness. It's against doing the right thing.
Eric Dick says they plan to fight this till the mayor and city officials overturn what some believe is a misguided ordinance.
Hi, everybody. About to start the radio show in a few minutes. I'll call in a little bit later.
I talk to him, and when his microphone goes off there,
If you want to chat with me, just, write some stuff.
I'm not shutting up. You can tell now at the end of the show, my boy gets the course, it's try, then I got to yell for the Longhorn game tonight. Oh my God!
Okay.
The less is more. The less I can talk to.
So whenever Chris gets here, he's going to text me.
So that's
I need you to run. We'll get him at the end of this first segment.
Okay.
I'm here for you.
He confirmed that he's going to be here?
Yeah.
Cool.
I'm going to put as many links as I can on.
Is it for re-election right now?
He is.
And that includes a lot of things that we could talk about.
I didn't see the extra comment that we had about him last week, did you? I didn't see the comment we had about him last week.
I had a good comment about him. He's a good guy.
Sometimes the value of the funds is about 25% to 40%.
Okay.
You want to sell that building? Do it now. I will have a link to the actual. I already put a link to that. Breaks. And then the dongle, the new one, the dongle with the dongle, the external adapter to plug your wired headphones in. You're going to buy that for $9. And then also the battery prices. I would recommend if you have older iPhone and you think your battery's weakening, do it before January 1st. So you've got about 3 months or so, 3.5 months or so because Apple quietly, they didn't want to talk about this earlier this week, but they raised the iPhone replacement battery prices from $29 up to $49, up to $69 in some places. So go ahead, take your dollar in the flip. With that, I also want to point you to another one of my sub technology sites. It is called iHeartVehicles.com. And if you want the latest and greatest on some of the new vehicles, if you're looking for a new car, a new truck, I just upgraded some things. What I had the Toyota Highlander, really cool Lexus 500, LS 500H, $403,000 I was doing in a few weeks ago. This week I'm in a Fiat 500 with four-door Fiat type of thing, which is pretty sexy too. And so I do cover the car industry, the tech industry, the bourbon industry, the travel industry, and of course, some of the high-tech industry too. With that, we're going to start the sign-off process. Shannon, thank you so much for keeping us on the air. Enjoy the rest of your day. Everybody out there, be safe. If you have questions, email me at hightechdexon.com. You can find Michael Garfield. And you can get me here every Saturday on air. And for some reason, we get bumped for radio for a football game, which we have to carry on air. You can go online. That's why you get the iHeartRadio app. And you can listen to me at your heart's content through the podcast. For all of us who have been part of the show, we do thank you for tuning in. My name is Garth. The show is officially over.
It's Saturday, September 15th. What's new today on the free iHeartRadio app? iHeartRadio! There's still time to join us VIP style at our iHeartRadio Music Festival in Vegas. Just listen to iHeartRadio Music Festival Radio in the app, and you're automatically entered. Plus, football's back. Check out our Job Jams playlist to get all the stadium anthems with one tap. And don't forget, you've always got this station in your pocket, streaming 24/7 on iHeartRadio. iHeartRadio! All your favorite music, all your favorite stations, all free. For window replacement you can trust, visit GulfCoastWindows.com.
Wood Whisperer Video and find out who wins our brand new F-150 Super Crew truck. Saturday, September 15th, 6 to 8 p.m. Only at Planet Ford on 59 and up.
KPRC Houston.
An iHeart radio station.
From the Gallery Furniture Made in America Studios. Welcome to KPRC 950.
I didn't push anything. I didn't do anything. I didn't touch anything. Okay, I don't know why. It's all quiet here. The engineer hadn't told me what's going on, but we should be starting soon. So our guest today is going to be Chris Daniel, and I have Philip Paul Bryant, who's also going to be here too. He's co-hosting with me. He's playing wingman, guys. Oh, hey. Hey, everybody. We're waiting on Chris Daniel. He's notoriously late, the district clerk. This is where he showed me it was, if y'all could see. Okay, I'm gonna talk about Hurricane Florence for a while. Just general hurricane season, kind of the hurricanes that are going on. I'm gonna talk about homeowners insurance to kind of tied with that, the type of policies you want insurance companies to avoid. Oh, talk about like Jerry Patterson opposing George P. Bush, Beto and Willie Nelson, and we're going to see what's going on with the district clerk in Harris County and talk about a number of other subjects. It's gone quiet. Interesting. Oh, wait, hold on. We can talk to her. Let me remember how to do this. Hold on. There's a way to talk to her through this.
I have you in queue right now,
Okay.
so I can hear you.
Okay, cool. No, everything okay? We
Yes,
just don't. We don't hear anything over here.
Because it is in automation right now, and then as soon as we hit that first spot block, that first 1 minute commercial segment, then you're gonna hear it.
Cool. Then I'm just gonna hang out and just do what you say to do. Right. Thank you. I was talking to the engineer, guys. That's who I was talking to because it just got real quiet here. I was confused. I'm still learning this stuff.
Today we're going to be talking about hurricane preparedness. We're here at the Eric Dick Show. We're live in the studio here. It's going to be fun. Special guest Chris Daniels, Harris County clerk, district clerk. So we're going to be talking about some disaster stuff. Stay tuned. This is Eric Dick Show live. Okay. See you guys right there.
Yeah, man, it looks like Florence is just it's a major flood.
Yeah.
That's really done a lot of damage.
Well,
there we are.
Traffic Center. Inbound side of the Southwest Freeway around Wesleyan. The backup stretching now from the West Park Tollway split. We also have heavy traffic on the West Sam moving northbound. That backup now stretching almost from Briar Forest, all due to the closure north of the Katy Freeway. I'm Stephen Foss in the 24-hour traffic center.
This report is brought to you by Gallery Furniture.
Mattress Mac Gallery Furniture saying you can't mark those big games on a frustrating backorder set. Go out there, other furniture stores, backorder set. Come to Gallery Furniture.
Hey, you got
Fabric or leather upholstered furniture by Solid Furniture Made in America. Gallery Furniture delivers today.
This is Matt Thomas. If you owe $10,000 or more to the IRS, you need professional help. Top Tax Defenders. If you receive a letter from the IRS, don't ignore it. If you're being audited, have years of unfiled tax returns, or worse yet, you are being issued a wage garnishment or bank levy, you need Top Tax Defenders. It's simply too risky to fight the IRS without the knowledge and experience of Top Tax Defenders and their attorneys and tax specialists. Call them now, 713-489-7792. That's 713-489-7792 or online, toptaxdefenders.com.
Opinions provided on the Eric Dick Show are for informational purposes only and not for the purpose of providing legal advice. You should contact your attorney to obtain advice with respect to any particular issue or problem. The opinions expressed on the Eric Dick Show are that of the hosts and guests and do not reflect the opinions of this station or iHeartMedia.
When you've got big problems, you need to have a big, you need Eric Dick, homeowner insurance lawyer and trustee for the Harris County Department of Education. This is the Eric Dick Show.
All right, folks, I'm back for more, back for a lot of exciting worlds of lawyerism, politics, insurance law, and just all around, just whatever we feel like talking about, I guess. I have sitting with me today, Philip Paul Bryant of Kojic Pack and many businesses.
Good afternoon.
and we're going to talk about a lot of stuff. Just jumping in, I'm a homeowners insurance attorney, obviously, elected to the Harris County Department of Education, which most people don't even know exists. It's really a fascinating organization, which we should talk about sometime. And so Hurricane Florence, that hit, and it hit big.
Yeah.
It looks like it was reduced from a Cat 5 with just crazy windstorms, maybe Cat 4 down to a Cat 1. But the big thing there, so you got 100-mile-an-hour winds. You got this just gigantic, like flooding event where you had waves, 80-foot waves, just enormous waves kind of coming through.
I think they said nearly 10 trillion gallons of water is going to be coming in.
Yeah, just a crazy amount of water coming in. And so, we experienced a heavy flooding event here as well with Hurricane Harvey. But so what I'd like to kind of talk about a little bit is what people don't realize is there's different types of kind of insurance that kind of play here when you have a flood event like we did have with Harvey and also with Florence. Florence seems like it's going to be just, if it's possible, worse flooding event than we had here with Harvey. But it's clear that it's gonna be bad, and I'm sorry for everyone out there having to go through that. But so what we can kind of talk about a little bit is your basic different types of policies, where you have your homeowners insurance, your typical your windstorm, fire, theft, that type of insurance. That's where you see normally advertised with your State Farm, Farmers, AAA, what have you. Then you also have NFIP, which is your National Flood Insurance Program. Now that's an interesting type of policy, and that is it's a government kind of funded, subsidized technically, which there gets all sorts of ethical and interesting questions on whether or not we should subsidize insurance. And there's a long history with NFIP. And in Texas and in other coastal regions, you have like some type of government funded or even government backed windstorm insurance, which we have Texas windstorm insurance. And there's some serious problems we've been having with Texas windstorm insurance since Hurricane Harvey. But looking at Florence, like it looks like it's going to be bad. I mean, Philip, did you see any of the articles or where how big this storm was? Because it was crazy.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it's pretty scary. And obviously coming out of Harvey last year, so we're just I don't know if there's a such thing as hurricane PTSD, but just seeing water and seeing all this stuff again just kind of scares you, and it's also kind of since we did experience it here firsthand last year, it kind of makes us also want to kind of reach out, donate some stuff. A lot of us have extra clothes and shoes and toiletries, and so I from the people I've been speaking with, just want to know how they can be involved and what they can do to try to help the Carolinas.
That's right. So we got flooded really bad, and a person that really did a good job with the flooding in Harris County, we actually have here today, Chris Daniel, and he can tell us all about the flooding and just the craziness.
Harris County District Clerk.
That is Harris County District Clerk.
10 years, 100 years now, man. He's
about 7.5, 8 years. And Eric, it's a real pleasure as your Harris County District Clerk to be here today, especially on your new radio program.
Well, it's great for you to be here, and of all days, a day not far from whenever Harvey hit, and when we had this horrible tragedy in the Carolinas. And I want to thank you very much because you did. Hi, this is Eric Dick, and I think it is important you know your rights. If your homeowner's insurance company has denied or underpaid your claim, you have the right to hire an attorney. You have the right to call me for a free consultation at 833-7-RIGHTS. That's 833-7-RIGHTS. Don't let your homeowner's insurance company take advantage of you. Call me today at 833-7-RIGHTS.
Has your homeowner's insurance claim been denied or underpaid? Call Dick Law Firm at 833-7-RIGHTS.
Such a good job dealing with all the flooding in Harris County that I don't think anybody wanted, and no one wanted to deal with that job. And you did such a good job with that.
Well, I appreciate that. And there's a lot of backstory that never got told by the media, not because they weren't trying to cover it, but because there were so many heroes and unsung heroes of Harvey. To put it in context for the listeners, as a native Houstonian, I've been personally flooded twice in the city of Jersey Village in 1998 and again in Tropical Storm Allison in 2001. And during Harvey, my own mother lost everything in her home in Friendswood as 5 feet of water descended into her house. And it is an unfortunate experience of mine to have to deal with flooding in Houston, especially with the Memorial Day flood and the Tax Day flood, and how we practiced our disaster plans from both those floods and managed the courthouse and managed the dockets and managed canceling jury service and getting the word out to the public that, hey, do not drive into high water. Turn around, don't drown at the courthouse. And all that prepared us for Harvey so that when other agencies had not yet practiced their disaster plan, we were already set up days before with emergency computers and equipments and generators in the various places where we were supposed to be for emergency court.
Well, you guys still, sorry, Eric, but you guys still have a lot of house guests as a result of Hurricane Harvey. I know the criminal court judges and team is hanging out in your building. How does that feel, and what's the plan there?
It's a new normal, and we are all getting along now. There were some growing pains initially. I mean, let's be honest. We had one judge try to throw another judge in jail for not getting off the bench fast enough.
Wow.
And we had some other judges basically kick the DAs out of their suite area into the hallway. And then another judge come back and says, no, you can't be out in the hallway, both claiming fire code violations. But it is a new normal. We are now getting along fine. And unfortunately, it is predicted that not till the middle towards end of 2020 will we be back in that particular building. But when we do get back into that building fully, we're going to have a whole bunch of new elevators, a whole bunch of more elevators, more space in general because the sheriff is not really moving back into that building. And it's going to be a great facility going forward.
So just a couple things. One, I think would be important for the listeners is to explain what the district clerk does, because I think a lot of people have no clue what Harris County District Clerk is.
The district clerk's office is a statutory office that was created in response to the growth needed in Texas. The basic founding fathers of Texas had your basic 6 or 7 offices: treasurer, sheriff, county clerk, county judge, et cetera, et cetera. But as time progressed, it was very clear you needed more courts. So they created state district courts, your old-fashioned circuit courts where folks would ride on horse and buggy from county to county. And then you had to have a clerk to keep those records. In all other states, the title would be clerk of the court. In Texas, it's the district clerk for the district judges.
Cool. And so your role, currently as a district clerk, what kind of do you do day to day?
Call me the traffic cop, if you will, of all filings going in and out of the courthouse. So when Mr. Dick yourself files something in our courthouse, you would either file that electronically, preferably, or by paper, and we would accept it and then hand it off to a randomly assigned judge for it to then proceed judicially. And then the judge would then assign electronically, hopefully, his order at the end of the case, and you would have an entire file that would normally be paper, by the way, now electronic for anybody to use, view, etc. And that not only saves taxpayer money long term, but it makes it faster and easier, better for justice to proceed. But I also handle, and very unpopular duty, by the way, but a basic constitutional duty, your fundamental right to serve on jury duty here in Harris County.
Oh boy, I bet you're popular, everywhere you go.
I'm unpopular for somebody in Harris County at least once every 3 years. Now, you'd be surprised how many people want to serve and want to be on a jury. And as time goes forward, we're going to continue to implement technology to make that faster, easier, and better as well. The other major function that we do, by the way, that most people don't realize is we do passports.
Well, that's excellent. We're going to take a quick break, and we're going to come back and talk about a lot of great stuff with Chris Daniel. Thank you guys for tuning in. This is Eric Dick and Philip Paul Bryant's
wingman.
He's wingman in it today. Thanks, guys. Yeah, I'm still learning the triggers. She was trying to tell us I wouldn't.
Now, and then we can keep talking about the flood. We can talk about how.
Yeah, we'll talk about the flood for a while. We got a bit of time. I wanted to kind of go into some other stuff. They want me to talk about Prop B, which I want to talk about Prop B anyway. And then we can talk about some political stuff too. Like I liked what was going on with Patterson and Bush. I think that's kind of interesting. At least deserves discussion. Sure. We'll just run into it. We got a good Facebook Live audience going.
The family members of Veterans, supporters of Veterans. I want to thank all you small businesses out
there. Oh man! So you made it.
Well, that 16 curve, once I got trapped, and doing that one accident, was toast.
That's a weekend too. Yeah, it's bad. It's worth it. With PTSD, have a place to go.
So they got you in. They just let you right in.
It's 877-717-PTSD. That's 877-717-7870. 877-717-PTSD. Veterans.
Hey, Philip, are you going live as well?
Mm-hmm.
Cool.
We're all behind you. We're all here from you. There is an answer. Call Camp Hope. It's free to you. 877-717-PTSD.
This is you have an opponent?
And I think it's important that you know your rights.
Have they doing anything? Or they just
sat next to me today at the Delta Sigma Theta event.
You have the right to call me for free consultation.
It seemed pretty serious.
7 rights.
Shouldn't have any money. So she's relying on.
Don't let your homeowners insurance company take advantage of you.
Oh, you never know what's going to
happen. 833-7 rights.
As your homeowner's insurance,
you never know what's going to happen. Hey guys, how are y'all doing? You never know what's going to happen. I think we can talk about that some.
Well, occasionally I like to stop and just say thanks.
And you've done, to be fair,
for us.
Up and down, left
Our
and right.
friends at US Coins have been sponsoring the show.
I'm not saying you are, but what we can talk about is like the connection you've done, use social media, interact more with all the lawyers, use their information, the family,
US Coins, coming in, you're bragging on the show, and we appreciate it. You're having a great experience. US Coins, I-10 outside the loop. 713-464-6860.
Come on, yeah, we're piloting that right now with David Farscore. You want me to talk about that? Yeah.
Tax defenders. If you receive a letter from
e-resets and e-hearings.
If you're being audited, have years of unfiled tax returns, or worse yet, you're being issued a wage garnishment or bank levy, using top tax defenders. It's simply too risky to fight the IRS without the knowledge and experience of top tax defenders and their attorneys and tax specialists. Call them now, 713-489-7792. That's 713-489-7792 or online, toptaxdefenders.com.
Try new endless pan pizzas at Susie's, available in both Meat Eater and Supreme. Now
are we allowed to talk about the Texas Lawyer Facebook page since that's not political?
We talk about politics, that's fine. That might be instead of Burgess. She wants to come up here. She can. I don't care. I'll talk to Marilyn. What? They're looking at me. What are you guys trying to tell me?
Should we be talking right now?
No, I was just playing on the internet, talking to all my friends on Facebook. That's what I was doing. Anyway, so we're back. We're back with my radio show, and Philip Paul Bryant is helping me out today. He is just a fantastic go-getter, and our special guest today is the district clerk,
the one and only,
and Chris Daniel. What we're talking about is how Hurricane Harvey really devastated Houston. But what I'd like to talk about is some of the great things that Chris Daniel has done with the role as district clerk, made kind of the office more accessible to, you know, fellow lawyers. He's been, to be fair, he's been just a fantastic district clerk. Whether you're Republican, Democrat, or Independent, he really has tried, and I can tell. But so tell me, Chris, about all the stuff you've done.
Sure. So electronic courts, for example, started as a pilot program in 2002 under Charles Bacteries with 2 basic courts, and was expanded under subsequent district clerks up to 8 courts with a few permissible courts. And under our administration, we went totally electronic in all civil courts. By the time the mandates came down for family courts to go electronic, we were already halfway there. And by 2015, all family courts were electronic. And with that, we had another mandate come down by the Texas Supreme Court that we need to have criminal courts electronic, with the exception of juvenile.
And that the criminal courts, that you're talking about criminal discovery, which is kind of you've just completely opened the door, which is kind of a good thing, I think. But so tell me about the criminal discovery.
Well, through our website, as you're tied to the case as an attorney, you can now get directly from the DA's office all their electronic discovery videos, DWI videos in particular, and the whole purpose is to make it faster, easier, better for the attorneys to represent their clients and seek justice.
Now, what's interesting, I kind of want to give a little backstory here, is so when I started practicing law about 10 years ago, I did a number of criminal cases. How you used to get your files, you'd have to, and usually the DA would freely give you their stuff, but sometimes they really didn't have to. And you could serve them discovery. So you couldn't just mail them that. You'd have to go to the court, you know, kind of file something at the courthouse. So you'd have to either wait for a hearing or actually drive down there, file this stuff. And it was really kind of a pain, you know, where to do any type of discovery. But that's gone now. So now attorneys, you know, doing criminal defense work in their comfort of their own home in their pajamas at, you know, 6 p.m., 7 p.m., whatever time, they can e-file their discovery to the, you know, the DA's office, and it's a complete different world. And we aren't, you know, we may have been. Are there other counties that do this?
No, in fact, Fort Worth and Dallas were trying to do something along these lines, and the best they could do was get the charging instruments online. Which is also part of our ongoing process, because not only did the Supreme Court mandate that something be filed electronically into the case, but we recognized that to be totally electronic, we had to have all facets of justice electronic. That includes e-warrants, e-subpoenas, e-citations, and so on and so on.
So I just want to kind of step back. You're saying no other county in Texas out of the 254 counties does electronic discovery for criminal cases?
Not that to my knowledge. Most counties are accepting electronic filings per se, and then going behind the filings back and printing it out on a printer and sticking it in the paper file, which defeats the whole purpose of electronic filing. The goal is to not only be faster, easier, better, and more indexed so that the attorneys can do a basic Google search on their own case and find rapidly what they need to represent their client, but to save taxpayer money.
And be environmentally friendly as well.
Well, that's a token benefit, because when you're saving trees, you're also not having to pay for all that toner and printers and paper and so on and so on, plus personnel.
Well, it just makes basic sense. Easier access to justice, costs people less money.
But it's also a safety issue. When we implemented e-subpoenas, that saved 32 positions for the sheriff's office to then put back into the courtroom as bailiffs that no longer had to process subpoenas, because it was a automated electronic process. And that came vital, especially after Harvey, where we were doubled up in the courthouse.
Well, that's fantastic. Yeah, you've really done a good job there. So how about like where you've tied in social media to the district clerk's office? Why don't you talk?
I have a love-hate relationship with social media. My first race was for the Board of Trustees for Lone Star College System, of which I won. And I beat the board chairman by using a little-known website called MySpace. And MySpace was revolutionary at that time. And now we're having Facebook and Twitter and so forth. And I have attorneys even contact me on LinkedIn and Nextdoor, the app. And what we do with all that is when they contact me, I personally respond. We get their email address, and we get them funneled to the right location to get their problem resolved. And the beauty of that is that, especially on the Texas Lawyer Forum on Facebook, the various groups and pages, they're able to not only get their question answered, but help other lawyers who might have a similar question get their question answered. It's not always the answer they want to hear. For example, there's a snafu going on right now with sensitive data documents, where the Texas Supreme Court has asininely created a category of sensitive data, where when you file something electronically, and I'm sorry to get technical, audience, but when you file something electronically and you market sensitive data to protect your client's best interest, well, guess what? We're not allowed to show that online at all. That became such a problem because if Eric files something, he knows he files something and I can't show it. How do we explain that? So we created an electronic index that at least showed that it had been filed, but you still had to download and view elsewhere. You couldn't view it online. And that has created a whole bunch of headaches for lawyers out there with this new restricted category. But again, that's just trying to solve the Supreme Court's problem for them.
Well, it sounds like you've done the best you can do.
He also implemented passports in his building, because that wasn't done before under I think Jackson.
That wasn't done under any district clerk in Texas, except for in Harris County, except for the surrounding counties. And so we decided to take the bull by the horns and say, look, Stan's right here with his birth certificates. Why can't we just finish the gap and come up with a passport service? I'm sorry, the post office has set the bar so low that when we get these comment cards coming in about how wonderful we are, it's like, well, it's a no-brainer. We want to serve you, public. We want you to come in and have the best experience possible while you're already downtown for an unfortunate reason in court, or to get a birth certificate, a marriage license, a DBA for your new business, a liquor license for that kind of business, or you're serving jury duty. Come on down anyway and get your passport. Get a new passport, get it renewed. And oh, by the way, we go through Philadelphia instead of Baltimore, and therefore our passports are processed faster. And therefore it takes an average of about 14 business days.
Have you suffered property damage and had your insurance claim denied?
Hurricane Harvey may be the most costly storm in history. And if your home was damaged and your insurance company did you wrong, well, this is America. We have rights. You have the right to hire an attorney and sue them. You have the right to call me for a free consultation at 833-3-HARVEY. That's 833-3-HARVEY. Don't let your insurance company take advantage of you. There's always hope. Call me today at 833-3-HARVEY.
Instead of 4 to 6 weeks to get your passport back.
One other question. I know a lot of viewers are wanting to know, is there something that can be done about those lines in the morning to get into the court? And I assume
Yes.
it's a lot of it
Yes.
is because of the criminal court being combined.
Correct. Now, once we're back in the jury assembly building, which unfortunately became an unnecessary 11-foot deep swimming pool during Harvey, once we're back in that building, a lot of those lines will go away automatically. And it has a beautiful remodel set, or it has its own kiosks and its own covered entryway. But Constable Precinct 1, Alan Rosen, actually handles the security that comes in and out of the courthouse. And he has been piloting programs to put people through the other courthouse security doors so that they're not having to necessarily bottleneck right there at the front door. But they could go to the juvenile building, or they can go to other buildings where there are metal detectors. We can't get rid of the metal detectors. We've got to keep our judges and our lawyers safe. We're dealing with a lot of hot topics at the courthouse: divorces, criminal cases, etc. And we need to keep everybody safe.
Feeding the homeless.
Feeding the homeless. But at the end of the day, thankfully, Constable Rosen is working hand in hand with our office to pilot these different ways to get people funneled into the courthouse through other buildings.
Sure. We're going to take a break.
That's that music.
Yeah, that's the music. They're giving me a hint. This is Eric Dick. Thanks for tuning in. We're going to take a break. We'll be right back with Chris Daniel and Philip O'Brien's right here with me. Thanks, guys.
Thanks, guys. Too fast? Too much?
No, it's fine.
Wasn't too technical, was it, Brian?
Yeah.
Some people
Are you still talking about MySpace? You're talking about what dial-up internet back then?
Tom was a fan, man.
Yeah, you just told me to close your MySpace account, by the way.
Is it still up? I thought I deleted it. I deleted it 10 years ago. Oh.
Oh man, I never had a MySpace. That was for musicians.
Oh, it was
Back on Facebook Live.
I've been talking some.
Feeding rocks. Can't in good conscience let a hungry person starve. Feeding rocks. Help us legalize charity. Go online and sign a petition. www.feeding.rocks. Feeding rocks.
A lot of good people watching. What they want. I put the number. I put it on the Facebook. You guys want to call in? Call in. Let's go. Let's talk about maybe. Let's talk about politics a little bit.
This is Mario Lopez. So I'm planning to celebrate.
There's a lot of juicy stuff to talk about. A lot of juicy stuff to talk about.
Just stay the night. Don't drink and drive. It's just not worth it. Because the DWI could cost you up to $17,000.
We had the Lincoln today and the Yes Spotters parade.
You could also lose your license. So plan.
We're talking about
For the Monopoly car that we use in all our parades.
Go to jail. So message from TechStop.
And I had a parade today. I had a block walk kickoff, and I had the Scandit forum. And now y'all.
Just hustling. Hustling. This is grinding.
Hustling.
Been up till what, 7 in the morning? Run around.
You talking local, state, or national politics?
I want to talk about Jerry Patterson, where he's a Republican and he endorsed George P. Bush's opponent. And the reason why and all that, I think that's kind of interesting. Is at least people were talking about that. I'd also like to talk about a lot of people are upset that Willie Nelson's playing for Beto. And just kind of, man, I think Cruz is going to win that. I'm voting for Cruz, but that's an interesting. I think there's something there, at least interesting.
Disclaimer: Geico cannot guarantee you will be as happy as a clam. Unquote. The Geico legal team cannot
I think it was pretty neck and neck until the National Party starts.
They poured a lot of money into it because they got scared.
What's there to be happy about? A clam's all like, oh, I'm so happy I didn't get turned into New England clam chowder today.
What's that going to do? I don't know.
So fun to say. What were we talking
and also, we need to talk about Prompt B with the firefighters.
Hurricane Harvey. I'm going to go by and get a couple of signs.
It feels sometimes like everything in life has gone against us. Take a break from anxiety.
I'll explain some of the city council issues with the Cenotaph in San Antonio and how they have already kind of boxed Bush in a little bit with regard to that.
Okay.
Now, I mean, he needs to take a leadership stand. Yeah, they already voted. Yeah, they've already.
I think they're hey guys, I'm back. Okay, so we got Chris Daniel here. We got Phil Paul Bryant, and let's talk about some politics. I know everybody loves talking about politics and maybe some gossip, and let's see where it goes.
Man, it's how you lose more friends.
Politics.
It's how you lose more friends.
Well, you know, I don't have many friends speaking. Right. When you don't have any, it's not hard to lose them. Okay, so what I found interesting is one of the person I think highly of is Bonnie Lugo was having a bit of a fit about how Jerry Patterson endorsed George P. Bush's opponent. And the whole kind of backstory, there's a lot of backstory with the Bushes and Trump and all that type of stuff. But I think really kind of the tie-in here and why a lot of people are just genuinely upset with the Bushes is George P. Bush's role with the Alamo and how a lot of people like my family were tied. We have relatives that fought in the Alamo. We have relatives basically in every Texas war. The first alcalde of Columbus is a relative. It's just like the history, at least in my family, and many other residents in Texas, they have such a deep, deep Texas history. And they're just highly offended, highly offended is in how he's trying to commercialize, in essence, the Alamo. Have you heard anything? What do you think about that, Chris?
You know, it is a time for leadership. And I think with the best of intentions, the current land commissioner's office delved into trying to expand, preserve, and protect the Alamo. And unfortunately, too many businessmen and too many consultants got involved, particularly those that were not from Texas. And we have a mess on our hands. And a lot of it is a technical issue that is more complicated than a 20-second soundbite. For example, most folks don't know that the San Antonio City Council has already voted and kind of boxed Bush in as far as moving the cenotaph, the wonderful monument that's been there for over 100 years, that's my understanding, that really celebrates the defenders and heroes, State Board of Education, of the Alamo. And what the problem with that is that once they have by ordinance said that you shall move this, unless he steps up as a leader and says the dickens with your city council ordinance, you know, it looks like he's kind of kowtowing to what they're demanding, what this Democrat city council is demanding.
Well, I mean, it is that, and that's true. He doesn't seem to really
it's a time for leadership.
He's not. He doesn't seem like he's listening to his supporters. At least he's not listening to, you know, people in the Republican Party that have deep, you know, Texas roots, that just kind of have an emotional connection to you know, all this historical type of stuff, especially in an environment where we're looking at, you know, maybe removing Sam Houston's statue, which I strongly disagree with. But you have that type of environment, and a lot of people are emotional about this.
This becomes a reduction to absurdity, reductio ad absurdum, to make a legal term. And at some point, we are doing our children, our grandchildren, our posterity a disservice by destroying history. And in some cases, it is better to preserve a bad history in place as a warning than it is to just destroy it and whitewash it and sweep it under the rug.
But then I agree with that. I mean, that's a completely different topic. If you're talking about Confederacy and the Civil War, that's a completely different topic.
You brought that up. I was just talking about history in general.
But if you're talking about Texas history, it's like something just vastly different, because you had people that were like Texas leaders refusing to you know, succeed, refusing to go through that whole thing you know, happening.
Well, let's take it back to the Alamo. You were talking about history here, and I was talking about tearing down history and sweeping history under the rug. Part of the problem with the expanded Alamo plan, or the criticism of the expanded Alamo plan, was you had an artist from Philadelphia who was trying to kind of de-emphasize the Battle of the Alamo itself and expand the 30,000-year history of what happened in that San Antonio region. And the problem is that that's not why people come to San Antonio. They don't come to San Antonio even to find out more about the Rough Riders, who were trained in the backyard of the Alamo, who were key and vital to not only the future of President Theodore Roosevelt, but also the Spanish-American War. They come because of the Battle of the Alamo, the icon of the battle. And for an outside Yankee to come in here and basically de-emphasize the purpose of people coming to the Alamo and expanding it the way that he did to increase the emphasis on 30,000 year history, that again is, you're not communicating to your Texas base, you're not communicating to your outside visitors who come to this UNESCO site, and your folks that want to know more about why Texans are this independent, can-do spirit.
Yeah, I agree. And it's bad news whenever you're messing with the Alamo. And it can't get any more Texas than the Alamo. People jump up and down. They have a strong emotional connection. But how about the fact that Jerry Patterson, a pretty well-known, you know, in a lot of different pockets of the Republican Party, you have him actually endorsing a Democrat, which is, you know, a big no-no. But and what do you think about that?
I think he's making a statement. He must also be aware that he's never going to run for office again, because when people cross party lines to endorse Democrats, particularly in a race that's clearly going to be won by the Republican, you're committing political suicide. So he must firmly believe that this is his hill to die upon, and that he is going to try to make a statement to all that the handling of the Alamo has not been the way that he would have handled it, and that with the best of intentions, more leadership needs to step up to get the show on the road to protect Texas history.
I'll just be upfront. I can't vote for Bush, and I don't think I can vote for the Democrat either. But there's no way I'm going to vote for George P. Bush. Just no way. I think too many of my family members would be upset with me, both living and deceased. But so do you have any opinions on the Alamo, Philip?
Yeah, well, I think I was more concerned. I won't say concerned. I don't necessarily accept the fact that it would be political suicide to step across the aisle. I think in our PAC, Houston Area Coaching PAC, we do this on a regular basis. I think you have to judge and look at the candidates for who they are, what they stand for, their background, some of their vision as well. Because I know Democrats that love Chris Daniels.
That's true. That's true.
And it's not necessarily because he's a Republican. It's because they think he knows what he's doing. They believe in the direction he's taking the district clerk's office, and it also works on the other side as well. Republicans just can't vote for someone just because they're Republican. Democrats can't vote for someone just because they're Democrat. I know we say it every election cycle, and I know every election cycle they go in and they just click that straight ticket candidate. But I think we have to go down ballot, look and see exactly who's on the ballot, what they're standing for, and a lot of it is kind of hard because you got 70 or 80 different elections, just for the judges, and then you got
75 judges on the ballot. We set the Guinness Book of World Records at one point for having one of the longest ballots in North America.
Right. So I know it's difficult to do research on a couple hundred candidates just to go vote, but it's our civic duty. People sacrifice for our right to vote and sacrifice to get there, and it does them justice because these people do affect our daily lives, whether we like to admit to it or not.
So to be fair, I don't disagree with anything you just said, Phil. I just think that for Jerry to make such a bold statement in a statewide race, he must think that he's not going to run for anything in the future. Now, there's a maxim that my favorite state rep from Kingwood has to say, Dan Huberty, which is if you're explaining, you're losing. And where George P. Bush has himself in the corner right now is that in order to explain this very complicated and very hot topic of the Alamo and where its future is going, he has to go very detailed into a lot of technicalities that the listeners aren't willing to take the time to read about or listen to about. And when you're explaining, you're losing.
So we're talking about statewide races. Let's go to another race that's kind of a bit controversial. Is the Ted Cruz versus Beto. And I find that interesting. You have the National Party, you have Trump coming down supporting Ted Cruz, but you also have Willie Nelson, who's having doing some stuff for Beto. You have a bunch of national money from the Republican Party being poured into Ted Cruz's race because there's genuine fear that he may lose the race. I kind of am. I doubt it, but there is truly genuine fear around a number of pockets. And you also have the polling kind of tightening. One poll at least had it one percentage vote away. Some others 4 or 5, points away. Philip, why don't you start off? What do you think about that?
I think it's a referendum on Trump. I think Ted Cruz and Donald Trump are, I wouldn't call them best friends or second best friends in the whole wide world, but they're pretty aligned as well as some of their politics. And so for this race to even make the headline is, you're right. I definitely think that the numbers show that a Republican, whether it be Ted Cruz or whoever, the numbers show that should be a Republican seat. But for it to even be close or to even be a part of our conversation.
Breaking the law, one meal at a time, feeding the homeless.
It is morally wrong to make it a crime to give food.
A Houston man who feeds the homeless because of his faith is suing the city, challenging the established charitable feeding ban. The often debated ordinance has banned sharing food in public groups of more than 5 people without city permission since 2012.
The city says you can give food to 5 people, not 6. What are you supposed to tell the 6th person? I met my quota today?
The city wants to dismiss Philip Paul Bryant's lawsuit.
That's a crime? What does this world come to? It's a sad day whenever trying to prevent a fellow human from starving is a crime.
The city says the ordinance aims to curb trespassing and littering, both of which were already prohibited in the municipal code prior to the passing of the ordinance. While some Houstonians are in support of the lawsuit,
I really hope he wins his case, and I really hope they lift those sanctions so we can be able to give more to the needy.
So if you're willing to help more than 5 homeless people, you should be able to do that.
Some even challenge the city's support of their citizens.
The city isn't going to take care of their homeless people. As their people, somebody got to take care of them. So why can't we take care of them?
A question Houstonians will continue to ask as long as the ban remains.
Property damage from Hurricane Harvey is devastating. That pain has been made worse by your insurance company underpaying or outright denying your claim, sometimes without even inspecting your home. I'm attorney Eric Dick, and it's my job to make insurance companies accountable. If you feel you've been taken advantage of by a greedy insurance company, call me today at 833-3HARVEY, 833-3HARVEY. That's 833-3HARVEY. Call me right now.
Conversation just shows you that not necessarily Ted Cruz, but in my opinion, his connection to Trump, I think, is more so a vote against Trump in that particular seat, in my opinion. And I get them emails from the Democratic Party, the Harris County Party, and so I see the angle they're using as far as fundraising and get out the vote efforts, and they're making that connection.
But what about like the play that Ted Cruz isn't a likable person and that Beto is a much more likable person, a nicer person? And do you see that
a little bit more charismatic?
I see that being pushed, and I'm not saying I agree or disagree with that. I just see that being pushed. What do you think, Chris?
The reason why the National Party is concerned about this race is they're seeing what I'm seeing, where Beto has a rally in Grimes County, Texas. You know what's in Grimes County, Texas? Bunch of cattle and a company that builds the most drill pipe in North America. That's it. And here you have 400 people show up to a rally in Grimes County, Texas. When you have that kind of phenomena occurring, even if it's just every Democrat, it was 400. It is amazing to see that this enthusiasm is going on across the board, and that's why people are scared about what's happening with Beto. That's why they're concerned.
We'll dig more into it in just a minute. We're going to take a quick break here. We'll get back on that, and maybe finish up with Prop B.
Yeah.
I think it's good stuff. Just people are fascinated by it. It's good stuff to talk about. You don't think so? I think it's
well. So what I'm going to lead into about Beto is how he's basically using Trump tactics to define the race, and how Ted has waited too long to take control.
Well,
winding people up, get along and live.
I don't know what's going to happen with that. I think it's more fascinating than anything.
It's that time of the year.
Well, then I'll follow that with getting technical about straight ticket voting and how
that's true.
Beto is a threat. Because if a Republican votes for Beto and they don't do the normal thing where you pull the lever and then change your vote, then they're going to have to vote all the way down the ballot. And after 75 judges, they may just forget to vote for their county judge.
2 years from now, because that's going to happen in 2 years from now.
They know
That's
how
right.
to deal with the IRS.
That's right.
And frankly, you don't.
If you owe $10,000,
All right, if you want to make that, I see the pitch.
You had to go down the Confederate statue thing, huh? I wasn't talking about that.
I had to go down on it a second. I had to go down on a second. I had to just kind of flirt with it. Just see what. I had to go with it for a
That's
second.
a no-win. There ain't no winning on that.
No, we didn't go into too deep. I had to go there for a second. You know, I'm a sucker.
Just the salt is just blowing up your phone as we speak.
This is Eric Dick, and I think it's important that you know your rights. If your homeowner's insurance company is denied or underpaid your claim, you have the right to hire an attorney. You have the right to call me for free consultation at 833-7-RIGHTS. That's 833-7-RIGHTS. Don't let your homeowner's insurance company take advantage of you. Call me today at 833-7-RIGHTS.
Has your homeowner's insurance claim been denied or underpaid? Call Dick Law Firm at 833-7-RIGHTS. Hurricane Harvey hit us all. It feels sometimes like life has gone against us. Take a break from anxiety and fear.
So we had a 2-week break. Yeah, we'll be back on this more. It's kind of fun.
Right.
How long's your show?
Just an hour.
Oh, we're almost gone.
You wear many
hats.
The
That's fine.
new business
Finish it up.
The buying toner for the
How about 12 more minutes?
The sifting through tons of resumes hat. You can throw away that last hat.
Yeah, it is. I just don't think I have the commitment or energy to do much more.
But I know it's tough for all these radio guys. I mean, think about Michael Berry having to come up with an hour every day.
Yeah, but he also doesn't have a job. And not elected. That's all he does.
I
His
just
job
made
is.
hundreds of dollars by switching to
he's a good guy,
Geico.
but it's
I'm
just
as
a lot.
happy as a clam.
I don't necessarily want to be a radio personality. It's fun. I enjoy talking about stuff. Enjoy all the friends.
Yeah, you missed out meeting Steve Johnson from KOL.
Oh, I saw. Yeah, Danny wanted to go out. I can only do so much. Can only do so much.
Geico. 15 minutes.
Get lost. And he was nearby. When he hit the other side of the street. Okay. Hey guys, we're back. We're gonna wrap this thing up. We're gonna put a nice, good, tight bow on it. We were talking about Beto's race with Ted Cruz, and Chris Daniel was pontificating on, as he does from time to time, on some very interesting and intellectually stimulating, views on that race. You want to go back and?
You betcha. You know, with Robert Francis O'Rourke, the Irishman from El Paso, he is defining his race the way that Donald Trump used the media against the Democratic Party. And he's defining his race in such a way that Ted Cruz has waited way too late to get back on offense and to take the definition away. And so now you have Ted Cruz basically scrambling, whereas before he was almost kind of refusing to debate Beto. Now you have Beto saying, hey, I'm too popular. I'm on this show, on that show, and national media here, national media there. Why on earth would I waste my unearned popularity to lose it all in a debate to a clearly master debater that would be very, very good at basically dissecting and eviscerating Beto on any number of topics. At this point, it is a ground game, and there's going to be a lot of national media coming in. But here's my concern, Eric. With Philip Paul Bryant votes straight Republican normally, which I know he doesn't. But if he were to, and now all of a sudden he's enamored by this John F. Kennedy-esque candidate on the Democrat side, so he decides to vote for Beto. If he doesn't do the educated thing, which is to vote straight and then circle back and vote for Beto, if he goes one by one, by the time he gets halfway down the ballot, he may say, the dickens with this, I've got lunch, I've got plans, I've got to get on a radio show with Eric Dick, and decide to quit voting. And then he might miss our wonderful county judge. He might miss the district clerk's race, the county clerk's race, the county treasurer's race. He might miss voting for the propositions. And that is a terrible thing, because that is what the party fears, is somebody is going to be enamored by Beto and say, well, you know, I love Greg Abbott. Yeah, I love all these other races, but I'm a little tired because I forgot to vote straight and then circle back and change a race.
I hope they forget George P. Bush. If they are going to forget anybody, they need to miss that one. Let's kind of what do you think about this Prop B? A lot of people have been talking about Prop B, and I I love the firefighters. I can't help but want to support them, and I do support them in Prop B. But Chris, what do you think about Prop B?
You know, as a non-resident of the city of Houston, it would be a shame for me to communicate on this, but I'll go ahead anyway. I'm basically supported by the base of both sides. I'm openly endorsed by HPLU, full disclosure, and I hope to get the endorsement of the Firefighters Union as well, because I'm already endorsed by the rest of their AFL-CIO brethren. At the same time, I understand why we got to where we are. We're in a situation where the cops have been basically screwed with by the various mayors since Mayor Lee Brown. And these issues didn't go away. And so they came up with a legislative solution to help them. They invited the firefighters to the table, but the firefighters had their own program going on and their own plan. And whether that was a good plan or not as good of a plan, whether they should have played nicely with the police officers or not, is water under the bridge, because now we're at this point in present time. And they have decided to take this to the people as a legislative solution instead of going to the Texas House like the police officers did. Whether that's the best plan or not, again, I don't live in the city of Houston, so it'd be dishonest of me to go further, but I want the folks listening to understand that we arrived at this because of a lack of leadership at City Hall. Period. It's not Sylvester Turner's fault. It's not Anise Parker's fault. It's not Bill White's fault. It goes all the way back to Mayor Lee Brown.
I think it goes before that, but I don't think it. I think, okay, let's kind of take a step back. You've got firefighters making $27,000 a year, which is not very much.
How much?
$27,000 a year.
Is that starting or added?
That's starting.
Wow.
You start at $27,000 a year. And I know there's arguments, okay, they only have to work 2 days a week, but they have to work 24-hour shifts on those 2 days a week. Good luck finding another job. And sure, they have benefits, but you talk about a job where you're running in a fiery building. I think people need to, whenever I ran for mayor, every time I've ran for city council, I've always followed Orlando Sanchez's, motto. Pick a few things, do a good job at it. Public safety, infrastructure, basic city services. That's where you want to spend your money on. Under public safety, you break that down. That's the firefighters. That's the police officers. We want them to do a good job. We want them funded to do a good job. And though I love parks, and I live next to a park, ride my bike on a park, I'd rather be safe and have firefighters, come to my house. Hey guys, remember I support you whenever my house is on fire. Remember, I support you. I'd rather them come to my house and make sure we're safe, make sure my daughters don't burn up in the house, because that would break my heart. And that'd break almost anybody's heart if their house, burns down. But my point is this. If we're talking about being, conservative, at least fiscally conservative on, with the city of Houston, spend the money where we say we're supposed to spend the money. Spend it on the firefighters. Take care of the firefighters because we need them. At the minimum, if people are, feeling spiteful towards Sylvester Turner, it's kind of a spit in the face to vote for, this, because it limits, it kind of forces Sylvester Turner to spend more money on the firefighters. So I strongly support it for a very, very, very large amount of reasons. Some of them, full disclosure, my dad was a firefighter, a captain and a senior captain at a number of, I think, two 66s and 67s. So I'm just inherently biased towards firefighters. But on the other hand, as a Republican, as a conservative Republican, I can't help but, it's one of the things we should be doing. Philip, what do you think about that?
Yeah, I definitely think that you have to support the firefighters. And I think they're just basically asking to be on par with their counterparts at the police department, if I'm not mistaken. So you have to support the firefighters. If they need raises, give them a little extra money. I think initially were asking for 3%, but they just were just backlogged from prior years that now they're asking for a larger percentage to try to make up for past years. And if that sends the city, puts the city in a position where they don't necessarily have a revenue to cover it, then that's going to force them to look at other programs and other possible wasteful spending to try to accommodate for that. And so I support the firefighters. I think there also is going to be another proposition about the drainage,
the rain tax.
The rain tax. And so, from what I understand, that the courts aren't going to make them refund that money back to the residents, but they're going to allow them to be a little bit more clear on the language. And so, the city has some explaining to do in this non-municipal election cycle.
Well, just as a final word to the listeners, I just want you to understand that after this proposition is voted for or against, with regard to the firefighters, that this problem is not going to go away.
Right.
We got to this problem because the city was upside down on its budget, and various mayors and city councils have tried creative solutions to solve this to no avail. The cops ended up going to the legislature to try to seek a solution. The firefighters are going a different direction to seek a solution. With regard to the drainage tax, stay tuned. Stay tuned.
Thanks, guys. This is it. We'll see you. I'll see you next week. Same bad time, same bad channel. Thanks very much. You guys have a great weekend.
That was my diplomatic answer.
That was very diplomatic.
Thanks, guys. We're heading out.